балаларға маға керек база хайық. Қачан жүрден қадайнарға, қачан үзер кеттен итті. Бақсақ тала база нефтін, чиктер пустын. Балаларға сөндір салар түден салаларға.
taste the blame if the flavor should remind you of greed, of implication, insinuation, and ill will, till you cannot lie still in all this turmoil before red cape and foil come closing in for a kill. Come feed the rain, 'cause I'm thirsty for your love, dancing underneath the skies of lust. Yeah, feed the rain, 'cause without you, love, my life ain't nothing but this carnival of rust. It's all a game, avoiding failure when true colors will bleed. All in the name of misbehavior and the things we don't need. I lost for after, no disaster can touch us anymore. And more than ever, I hope to never fall, where enough is not the same it was before. Come feed the rain, 'cause I'm thirsty for your love, dancing underneath.
Okay, the mic should be working now. Hello.
Yeah, feed the rain, 'cause without you, love, my life ain't nothing but this carnival of rust. Yeah, feed the rain, 'cause I'm thirsty for your love, dancing underneath the skies of lust. Yeah, feed the rain, 'cause without you, love, my life ain't nothing but this carnival of rust. Don't walk away, don't walk away. Oh, when the world is burning, don't walk away, don't walk away. Oh, when the heart is yearning, don't walk away, don't walk away. Oh, when the world is burning, don't walk away, don't walk away, Lord, when the heart is
What the fuck is this? The truth about what will happen on April 8th, 2024 from God. Someone made a YouTube channel called God. That's crazy. Hey, thank you. Hope you're well, Sardin. Hi, Awaken. How you doing? Got Donald Trump's face on it. Oh my god. Oh god. The last eclipse. Do you guys believe in that?
That is when it seems we move in circles day to day.
Hi, Kellogg. How are you? I am chillin' as well. I just woke up. My sleep schedule is borked. Last what? The last eclipse ever. There's a bunch of like doomsday propaganda about this eclipse coming up that I've personally experienced from people, and I've seen a lot of online. And so I was actually researching a little bit into some events that have happened during eclipses. And funny enough, there was actually an eclipse that sparked a peace treaty. Because I think they were like fighting, and then like the eclipse happened, and they're like, okay, all right, we could die any moment. Let's like maybe chill. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's a thing going on right now.
Hi guys, and welcome
Let's
to
listen
this
to what this
video
guy says
on
about the eclipse.
Full moon in Libra, which is
There's a lunar eclipse happening tonight, and then the full solar eclipse, the last big one for a long time, is happening on April 8th, not 3rd. Oh, if you check Wiki, just Google Doomsday predictions. Man, I don't think I've ever needed to Google Doomsday predictions because I've been like you know how like some kids watch like Blue's Clues growing up? I got told the world was ending growing up like kids watched Blue's Clues. So like some of them are interesting, but it's also like for me like a PTSD thing. Because like I get it and I could spend time doing that, but I feel like every time I like try and have a normal conversation with my dad, I get all the information on that anyways. So yeah. But yeah, I was just like researching the eclipse today, and I was like sending him some stuff trying to like reassure him that like the end of times aren't like imminent. I don't know. I feel like we've been going around and around about the end of times for forever, man. And I just personally am
eclipse that happens
a little
on the
bit bored of
25th
it,
March
a little tired of it.
2024. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you
I
today.
you know, like I just want to learn and experience as much as I can from this life, and then if I just blow up and die because the sun burns out, then it happens. But
Europe, so I look at these via Central European time.
I don't want to
This
spend my
happens
entire
at
life
8 in the
preparing for
morning.
death.
So take the time difference into account if you're in a different time zone. But I always mention this, a full moon is like a 3-day event. So you'll start to feel
I guess I
this on the
kind of am though
24th,
anyways.
26th, 24th, 25th, and 26th. But also because it's a lunar eclipse, as in the moon is...
How are you guys
shadow
doing
of
today?
the
What's up,
Earth.
guys? How's your day going? Are you on the path for the eclipse? April 8th is going to be bad for the power systems. Luckily, I'm going to be at a festival where... I don't know if the power gets shut off at the festival, that's like one thing. But I have a battery that I'm bringing. I'm not planning on having electricity that week. Yeah, I already got the glasses.
Earth, it's kind of darkened out. There's a reset moment, and there's like a obscuring of the self so that it can be reinvented. And eclipses, the influences, last for about 6 months. So this is
What is this
really
guy behind me
significant.
doing?
And what I feel about this eclipse particularly...
Tonight is the lunar eclipse, and then the full solar eclipse is April 8th.
It's a wonderful event that allows you to include yourself in what's going on around you. It's like an opportunity to put your finger on the pulse, to be right in the middle of things, to see how you and what you believe and what you can do, how you can make a positive contribution to the greater whole, and how you can slot yourself in effortlessly. So if you're if you're in any position where you've had to adapt yourself a little bit to fit into a certain niche, into something that you want to create, this eclipse is going to give you amazing ideas around how you can actually accomplish that. So let's look at this then. This is a penumbral lunar eclipse. Okay. So we've got the sun here, we've got the earth in the middle, we've got the sun shining on the earth, and then the shadow is cast here, right? And that's where the moon sits. So the blackest part of the shadow is the umbra. And then the more, you know, like fuzzy things around the blackest part of a shadow, that's called the penumbra, where it's a little lighter. And the moon is in the penumbra of the earth. So the moon in astrology represents the way you feel, your intuition, the mother, what makes you feel at home. Ultimately, I always mention.
Essentially, I spent part of the day today when my dad was texting me, like, some of the hyper-religious things that he's been watching about the eclipse. I spent part of my day, like, I don't know, astrology pilling my dad. Like, Dad, it's gonna be okay, I promise. But he's just very, like, red cows brained, you know? Nephilim brained. Yep.
That the moon is your feeling, it's what's going on in here, and the sun is your head and what you're striving towards becoming, right? So the fact that we have the moon, when it's full, suddenly interrupted, and it's like, hang on a minute, you're at your most shiniest, you're at your brightest, we don't want that right now. Because you're in the shadow, so...
What does he want to do about it?
So it's,
See,
it's like...
oops, my bad.
forced
What does he
moment.
want to do about it? See, that's been my question my entire life. Okay, so what now? Like, here's this information. The world's ending. This prophecy is fulfilling. Now what? And that's always been, like, a big question mark. And I don't know if it's, like, he just wants to predict it, which I think is what it is for a lot of people. Like, if it's gonna happen, they want to be the one who, like, brings forth the information, puts it all together, predicts it, like, all that shit, you know what I mean? Because, like, when I was a kid, and I would be told these things, I'd be like, okay, well, then I don't, because me doing my homework was an issue, because I had undiagnosed ADHD, I was like, if the world's gonna end, then we should maybe not fight about me doing my homework. And do I need to go to school? Because I'm getting bullied a lot, so the world's gonna end. And that always turned into, like, a horrible fight, like a screaming match. So, because it was like, I don't know, I was like undermining him or something. I don't fucking know. But yeah. And then as an adult, when these types of things would come up, especially during the pandemic, I would be, like, prepping mindset. Like, I would be ordering, like, I ordered a bidet, like, I ordered a bunch of ingredients in case anything ever happened. Like, I was really trying to take these, like, scary, fearful paradigms that were existing in my father's eyes, and I would try and, like, take action that would appease that and make him feel more secure. But it's like, for some of these people, I feel like they become preppers, and for some of these people, they just need every little bit of conspiracy knowledge or religious text where they can know things as much as they can, and that gives them, like, a sense of safety if they know everything about the thing. But I'm much more of a, like, tangible, like, take action, okay, what do we do now, instead of just, like, cycle on the fear. Because I've definitely been in mindsets in my life where I'm just like, I could be afraid of this, and it's just led me to pits of stagnation where I'm not a person, I'm depressed, I'm not doing anything because I'm just, like, so scared of the world. I'm not making friends because I'm so scared of people. And that mindset was really destructive for me growing up. So, yeah. Yeah, and, like, I was talking to Archie yesterday, or late last night, about, like, cynicism and how, I don't know, the world being the way it is can shape people. Like, you can be, like, a young person who's, like, hopeful and wants to create change, but then you kind of get beaten down by society. And that doesn't necessarily mean the world is getting worse. I think that just speaks loudly to the social contagion of fear and isolation, in my opinion.
Stillness. And this is a very, like, mundane example, so please excuse me. But when I was walking up the hill, I thought of it like this. If you have a city at night, you've got all the lights on, right? And that is powered by some sort of central power station. When that power station goes out, i.e. the shadow hits the moon, all the lights go out, but it's an opportunity to reset the whole grid, to correct any errors, to maybe even adjust the plant to make it more ecologically supportive, whatever it may be. Sometimes you need to turn the lights off in order to get things organized and sorted out before you can turn them back on. And that's what this is. It's an opportunity to become aware of your own feelings and your own part in things, and how at times you may be less than constructive. You're able to recognize that and not immediately go, oh, you know, I should be further along than this, and why do I do this? And you don't go into that kind of thing. You immediately say, okay, this is what is, and I see the consequences related to that. I now have the opportunity to reset, to make those changes so that I can move forward in a way which is more constructive for me, other people involved, and that the whole process runs more smoothly. Most of us don't want to have a lot of conflict and back
The
and
threat
forth.
of the world ending gives the world purpose. This was my reaction to people coming in chat telling me the world was gonna end. To Archie's cynicism that the world is for sure gonna end in 5 years. And I would agree that it somewhat gives us purpose, but to a degree it's quite crippling and takes away purpose. I feel like people more often become nihilistic with like the thought of the world ending than that actually striving them to create. And that would especially be like considering someone's circumstances. So say if like, I don't know, like a lot of homeless people, like if they're fucking homeless and then the world's ending, oh fuck it, I'll do drugs. You know what I mean? Some people become like incredible artists and they're actually kind of like anomalies, but I would say most people with the fear-based paradigm and social isolation, the world is ending, you're alone, your job sucks, everything sucks, yeah, I'll probably just do drugs. Or like escape in some way to cope is I think how most people react to that thing. So I think the overdoing of the world is ending has more of a harmful effect than good. But you can be aware that your time on this earth is finite, but to, yeah, like kind of self-destruct in the ideas that like everything's ending, to the point where you don't do anything, that's like not good in my opinion, my subjective opinion. Yeah. But it also, though, is quite effective for political leaders when you feel like the world is gonna end. Choose me, I'll save it. But what, it's just the whole sport game of politics, I think, is reductive to actually saving the world or making it better, actually. That's just my opinion.
In our lives, most of us just want to pick something we care about and get on with it, right? So this is an opportunity to iron out those wrinkles that you find within yourself that you may feel are problematic, and it smooths it all out so that you have fewer problems, kind of extending yourself and opening up. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going on. So we've got the moon at 5 degrees in Libra. So it gets to this completion point in its 28-day cycle, and it's like, hooray, I've made it. Let me shower planet Earth with all this Libra energy, which means everyone's going to connect, and there's a sense of harmony and mutual understanding and a consideration of the greater whole and what my place in it is. And then it's lights out. So I feel connected, but I also feel connected to the things that are hidden within me, my own feelings, things that are going on internally. I'm being given an X-ray machine and I can see what's happening within. So again, that I can get any obstacles out of the way and become someone who finds connection and relationship and teamwork and anything group related easier. So this is astrological kind of PR training, right? For anyone who has to go on television and talk, they're going to get a coach who instructs them. These are the things that.
Did you see the large Twitter activist accounts that have helped whip up a lot of fear and some protests were run by Russians? I have not. I've not seen that. I have heard theories of stuff like that though, and also like I have Kellogg. Did I tell you about my experience in 2020 at the Floyd protests? Like the stuff that I experienced like made me really like conspiracy brain about everything. That's actually why I took a huge step back from like activism. Is because I saw like people infiltrating movements to incite violence. I literally saw that with my own fucking eyes, and it like the scale of it was insane. Like it was 1 day, 2 days, and like literally every hour or so that I was like out there, I saw something that like made me like, wait, what the fuck is actually happening? You know? Yeah, it's very, yeah, divide and conquer, man. Divide and fucking conquer. Take a movement that wants the violence to end, put people in it, create violence, defame the movement, paint it as a terrorist organization. Nothing gets done. It's fucked up. They brought down a feminist group by turning the black women against the white women. Also in one city, they made a pretend and then organized a counter protest. Yeah, there's so much manipulation with the activism movements. I very much felt that with like my experience of like the online left. Like it very much felt like there were like psyops to infiltrate movements online, even like and like what I just posted on Twitter, like all those bots that are like all the positive AR propaganda, like the shit is weird. And that's what I saw around the Floyd protests too, was there would be bot accounts reporting on events that didn't actually happen to incite people to be more angry, to be more reactionary, because these bot accounts were reporting on these horrific things that didn't even actually happen. Yeah, exactly, Kellogg. Yeah, and I thought about speaking about it, right? But it was like a whole rabbit hole, and like the information they were reporting on that made me feel like crazy was like that people got killed at the White House protests in 2020, and they were like posting videos of like blood and everything, and I'm like, what the fuck is actually happening? Yeah, definitely freaked me out. But then I was like going through on some of these accounts, they were tweeting the exact same thing, copy paste, and then you look at the profile, and this is my thing with AI, like some of these people looked AI generated. Like some of these people looked like not real people at all. Like maybe stock photos, maybe, but like that was my paranoia back in 2020. It was like, this is like AI. These are like not real people. But yeah, I like screenshotted a bunch of it, and I was like so sussed out, and I was like thinking about talking about it, but then I was just like so mentally like fucked from everything that was going on in the world, in my life, in everything, and so I just didn't do it. But it was definitely something I took note of, and I was like, what the fuck? A guy did a video on it recently. Yeah, go for it and post in like the Discord and current events or wherever is relevant for that, because I'm interested in it. I just definitely, yeah, when everything was happening, with everything in my personal life too, it was just chaos. Because that was like, you guys know I'm from Minnesota. That was like my backyard. That was like right there. Like my friends were all down there. My friends lived like very, very close to where everything was happening. It was very in your fucking face. It felt like a dream. It was chaos. It was insane. But
will bring in more connections that are likely to go down well, and these are the things that...
Oh yeah, that's a classic. They would leave the pallets of rocks next to the protests so people would fight the cops. Exactly. What I witnessed was we were downtown. So, okay, the first thing I witnessed that day was a guy, we were at the precinct. That's where I first came down to see everything, because I was at my friend's, and I was like, okay, let's just go check it out. And so we walked past like the Cub and everything that was like on fire, the Target. We go down to the precinct. we're at the precinct for a while, and then we're like, okay, because it was just me and one other friend, and then we're like, all right, let's go get our other friends, because we were gonna go down there and like protest. We were gonna peacefully protest. So we go down there, me and all my friends. We're there for a bit. One of my friends sees a dude with long fucking hair, white dude, long hair, brown hair, beanie, I'm pretty sure, walk up with the fucking bolt cutters on the precinct fence that's keeping people out, cuts out a square big enough for a bunch of people to fucking crawl through that shit, and like ambush the cops from behind. There were severed pigs' heads outside of the fucking dumpster at the precinct, which that was bizarre as fuck. I was like, who the fuck did that? That's like a fucking movie. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, what the actual fuck? But anyways, so there was this group there called the Mad Dads, and it was a group of, I'm pretty sure they're all black, but black fathers in the, I think they were local in the community, but they were part of some community, and they were there to essentially like keep the peace, make sure no one gets into like trouble, and people are heard. They like intervened in quite a few situations where their presence was absolutely necessary, so I'm glad they were there. And so yeah, my friend sees this happen, and he like points it out to me, and he's like, what the fuck do I do? Because that's like but that's like a fucking video game, bro. You like see that shit happen, and then you like see the different options of what could happen based on what you do. And we both were like, fucking yeah, dude, if like someone fucking crawls, that's like people are gonna die. Like people are gonna die if that happens. So he like went up and he told the fucking Mad Dads, and they stood in front of the hole in the fence, and we told them about the dude, and they were like trying to hunt down the dude. But that dude, I don't know who the fuck he was with, but he just wanted fucking chaos. Wolf Among Us, exactly, bro, exactly. It was yeah, it was insane, because like what had started the fires, I'm pretty sure the day before, my friend actually caught on video. The fucking, dude, there's this dude with an umbrella. There's probably a video of it online. I have a folder with some stuff in it. I just never posted it because I was like, I'm gonna die, bro. But had a fucking umbrella, dressed in all black, and then he starts setting the AutoZone on fire. He's like a white dude with like blonde hair. Like fucking people like thought that they traced him back to being like a police officer or something. I don't know if that was substantiated or not. But he literally, I'm pretty sure that was the first fire during the protests. He lit the AutoZone on fire. And then what I experienced after the precinct, some more fuck shit happened. Like there was this girl that was in the Target that got fucking assaulted by someone, and she was on the ground. She was all purple. She got beat with a baseball bat, and like her friends were trying to like make sure she's okay, and then like recruiting other people to like keep other people away, because like there were fucking opportunists that were just trying to like shove a camera in her face while she was on the ground, and her friends were like, dude, get away, get the fuck away. And so like I create this fucking human ring around this fucking girl who's like on the ground, like this girl was not there. And then me and my friend, we go take a pee. She has a little scooter. We scoot on her scooter to go take a pee. We come back. This girl's on the ground. There's a guy on the ground next to him. He just got stabbed. Like, it was just total fucking chaos. And we're trying to get, like, the ambulance in to, like, help these people. And then other people that are protesting just see, like, the cops coming near. So they're like, oh, yeah, fuck the police. And they're just, like, throwing shit. And then so, like, we're trying to get an ambulance to these people to help them. And, yeah, we get flashbanged. So people are throwing shit at the cops, at the ambulance that's trying to come help us, and we get fucking flashbanged because people are throwing shit. And so I don't even know what the fuck happened to the girl or the guy that were hurt. One of the guys was like, that's my fucking brother. Like, it was so intense. But we just, after we get flashbanged and gassed and shit, we just scatter. It was just fucking, yeah. And then so we all go home, we all recuperate. We, like, got, like, fucking hella PTSD from what we just witnessed. I had some cool conversations with, like, some street medics that were out there, though. But then we go back to our place. Then we go back out later that night. And another instance that was just completely fucking weird. We were downtown. This time I brought a sled in case they tried to fucking hurl shit at us because like, yeah. So I was like with a different friend of mine, and him and I were like chanting, like with the crowd, and we hear everything stops. Like as soon as people hear this, everyone goes fucking quiet, and it would just be like ching, 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 and that was the sound of a hammer hitting a giant fucking window on like a skyscraper. And it was just, he looked a lot like the fucking dude with the fucking umbrella. He was just like fucking, didn't look like he was there to protest. It was very weird. Anyways, glass shatters, we all get flashbanged and gassed and shit. And then we're all running away. And then my friend Will catches up with them. He's on crutches at this point. He's on crutches. He catches up with the person who did the fucking incitement of violence. And it was this group of people, white people, with Twins baseball caps on, which was so fucking weird. Like, not that many, like, Twins baseball is, like, the baseball team of Minnesota, but not that many people, like, squad up with their Twins baseball caps. It was like they just went shopping and they just bought them real quick to seem inconspicuous. It was really fucking weird. But anyways, he catches up with them, records them, the person who literally incited the violence, and they try and fucking take his phone and knock him off his fucking crutches and shit. But yeah, I don't even know what the purpose would be for me to share these videos, but the videos of a lot of these things exist. I guess, like, my point in this is, like, incitement of violence is fucked, and divide and conquer is a very, very, very real thing. In my experience at, like, the George Floyd protests and being adjacent to the Black Lives Matter movement and being a part of the crowd is that the infiltration of people, like bad actors, is very, very present and very, very clear. And it's not good. It's not good. How are things, Stan? Things are thinging. Things are things. How are you doing, Stan? Oh, yeah.
Maybe best to be avoided. So you
be safe out there, boys. Be safe. Be careful.
The sun's on the other side. It's a
My FBI agent is just like, yes, ma'am. Speak up.
So the sun, your head, your conscious identity is very aligned with how do I take action to create more freedom in my life, to get things out of my way, and to create a smooth kind of path forward without a lot of conflict and drama, right? So it is about the self, but it's wise enough to say the self exists in connection with other people.
Good morning.
You are not an island. You're a human being who has to talk to other human beings. And there's no getting away from that. And this is really an opportunity to have a sense of joy around it, see the usefulness of it,
that sucks,
but
man.
also it gives you the ability to kind of start over in relationships if they've been disappointing or haven't gone the way you want. Next to the sun, we've got Neptune at 27 degrees in Pisces. Neptune is the water planet of dreams and intuition. 2 and 7 is 9. That's spirituality and completion. That's the Hermit in the Tarot, and Pisces.
That's my thing about talking with these things. I don't know how much of it is actually, like, helpful versus not. And how much is actually just gonna put me in a precarious situation. If that makes sense.
The last sign of the zodiac, which is about spiritual truths, right? So Neptune really gives you this lantern of illumination when it comes to your own identity, and you're able to operate more easily in the light than it would be stumbling around in the dark, you see? So the dark moment is a reset. It's time to fix things so that when you can shine and be active and go about your business, it's less problematic than it was before. 5 in numerology is freedom, right? So this is freedom from self, freedom from obstacles, delays, a sense that I can't, And anything that's less than constructive, you can throw out the window here. It's a wonderful opportunity to just say, I'm only going to keep the most positive, useful things to me in my head. I'm not going to bother with all this other stuff that I've acquired over time, the years. So the moon forms a lot of significant connections. If you look at the center of the wheel, you see the moon connects with Pluto and Aquarius via a trine. Then on the other side, it connects with the rising in Gemini.
Was something else on another level? Work was exhausting, and then some lady driving by stopped to ask for help with money and other things as I walked a quick trip. Damn. Wait, she was driving and she stopped to ask you while you were walking for money? That's weird.
Then the Gemini rising trines the midheaven in Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius, which creates this big blue triangle, and that's known as a grand trine. And a grand trine in a chart is an area of real talent. So if I see a grand trine in your birth chart, it really shows me specifically that you have one huge talent in a particular area. This grand trine
Damn,
is
man.
in the element...
Man, it's like, I get times are rough, but like if you see someone, like if I needed money, I wouldn't drive around and ask people who are walking. I don't know. Damn, dude. That's awkward.
of air. So the talent is about understanding,
She
communication,
mentioned
learning, teaching.
seeing you at Goodwill. Wait, you got a job at Goodwill? So she's like, he got money? I see. Damn. Well, I hope she can, like, maybe get on, like, food stamps or something, or maybe get a job. Because I know you don't have, like, a ton, so... Yeah, I want to make, care packages for people who ask me, because there's always people who ask me when I'm out and about, and I don't always have the money, because, like, you guys probably know, I'm still in a little bit of debt. Hopefully that'll all be sorted out this year. But yeah, like, I feel bad, but, like, yeah. Yeah, she's got a car. I mean...
Connecting with other people through
She could,
words
if
and writing.
possible, you have to have insurance for it, but dude, like DoorDash or something.
And ideas. So the moon I've mentioned, then Pluto is at 1 degree in Aquarius. Pluto is about transformation and change and rebirth. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes. And at 1 degree in Aquarius, it's a rebirth of your ideas and what you think is going to help yourself and other people. So you as the humanitarian and the teacher.
Yeah.
And all of this
Yeah, like there's been those scams before of like people driving around in Escalades or whatever, like flying a sign like they're homeless, but they have an Escalade. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. Very sketchy. She offered you a ride home. Oh. Okay. Interesting. Are you being stalked? Sounds like you're being stalked a little bit. Tiny bit. Not trying to freak you out. I'm kind of joking, but...
about getting rid of the stuff that doesn't work for you and focusing in on what makes
Just
you
looking
feel
for a sugar daddy.
confident, able, and empowered. And you're able to highlight that and bring it to the surface. Then the rising in Gemini is also at 1 degree. The rising sign or the ascendant in the birth chart is going to be your default setting, the thing that you automatically embody. Like if there's something difficult that's coming up, this is your first thought, your first reaction, knee-jerk reaction, right? And Gemini is about communication. It's ruled by Mercury, the communication planet. And it's all about how do I learn to solve problems and to, again, smooth the path forward. And at 1 degree, it's my ideas. So the focus, and it's like a door that opens in here and you can look in.
Oh, damn,
and see
okay.
what's really going on. Again, to make you more empowered.
Well, I
and
wish
to
her luck
pick
and
the,
everything.
Useful thinking.
The atomic
separate
bong
from
is
the,
very nice.
Useless thinking. And
It's
to
helping
lean
me
more into
get my mind off the potential reality where the world completely ends in the next 5 years to shifts towards a reality where I'm really stoned and cozy and gardening, and maybe the world doesn't end. Maybe. Maybe.
To the useful side of things. Now, not only is this a kite, not only is this a grand trine, I messed that up, but it is a kite, right? Because on one of the sides, one of the trines, we've got 2 sextiles which peak to connect the sun to this big blue triangle. So if you look at the big blue triangle between the moon, Pluto and Gemini, then between the rising in Gemini, that sextiles the sun in Aries, and then the sun in Aries also sextiles Pluto in Aquarius, and that then creates a kite. And a kite is an amazing placement that says this talent is something that is meant to be used, but it's profound, you've got it for a reason, and if you use this talent, it can really create a change on a much broader scale, not just for you and your friends, but for other people out there in society. So air, the big talent, is that I'm able to communicate, I'm able to see things clearly, I can make decisions, I can sign contracts, I can be really confident about what I'm hearing and what I'm saying in return, right? No problems there. Mercury's not retrograde. And then with the peak of the sun in Aries, your identity in the fire sign of the Ram, it says, how am I going to use all this info tied up in order to fuel my car moving forwards in life? So it's a wonderful moment of you being like a sponge and absorbing all the information that you want. Then you're able to make sense of it and to shape it and repurpose it for your own needs. And then you immediately find an outlet, as in your life and how you're going to implement all of these ideas. I keep thinking about the shadow of the moon. It is full, right? So it's kind of like I finished and I'm celebrating. And then when the lights are out, it's not so much about, oh, what's gone wrong? This is a crisis. It's almost like it's a contradiction, a juxtaposition. It's when I'm most alive that there are extremes, the most light and the most dark. So in some way then, you could say it's because this full moon is interrupted that you get glimpses into the hidden things that remain in you like you couldn't at any other time. Because it's the concept of duality, right? The further something is out on a limb, the further the thing on the other side is as well. So it's this extreme kind of back and forth of this eclipse that's, yeah, it's amazing. You're kind of like getting a guided tour of your inner environment. I love it. Let's see what else is going on. So we've got that trine. The moon opposes the sun, I've mentioned that, and Neptune. Then it also sesqui squares Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus and Taurus is 5 degrees away from Jupiter in Taurus. Uranus is the miraculous, the chaotic, anything can happen. If you look at the planet in our solar system, the path is super weird and it's like all over the place and skew and everything. So it's chaos, right? Unpredictable. Jupiter is the lucky planet of good fortune. It's the largest planet in our solar system and it's like a balloon. It goes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So these two in Taurus is amazing because Taurus is an earth sign. So your circumstances, anything can happen. Anything that you want to inflate and make bigger, you can. And any situation where you want to bring in other people in order to get something going is massively supported. So again, it's a really good time for people to plan big groups and big organizations where there's a lot of planning involved. So you won't get overwhelmed by any of that. Then we also have that trine to the rising in Gemini. I've mentioned that. And that's it as far as the relationships of the moon are concerned. But let's see what else is going on here. We've got Venus and Saturn together in Pisces. So that's a great sense of everything is fine because I'm spiritually loved and supported. So I have the confidence and the luxury of looking at other things in my life because I know everything's going to work out well. That is priceless, right? Mars is also in Pisces at 1 degree. Mars in Pisces is usually very focused on the self, and here it's more focused on spiritual understanding, and I want to go within and get to know myself better so that when I come out, I don't have to work so hard. Pluto, I've mentioned, it's on the midheaven. The midheaven is usually associated with work. It's when you're most active during the day, right? So at 2 degrees in Aquarius and then Pluto 1 degree away from it is really that I'm able to rebirth ideas about myself, about life, about the world, and then I'm able to connect that immediately via a job, via my relationships, via other people, and I'm able to apply it. Mercury, Chiron are in Aries, and the North Node is next to them as well. It's 16 degrees in Aries. So the whole point of this is I want to heal myself by looking within so that the future becomes less arduous and I'm not so ill at ease within myself. And then if you look at it differently, you'll see all this stuff up here in the 11th and 12th houses, right? Then you have a lot of nothing. First, second, third, fourth, 7th, 8th houses, 10th house are all empty. And then you've got these 3 tiny little things on the other side. You've got the moon, which I mentioned, Black Moon Lilith, and the South Node. So all the empty between looks like a bunch of flowers to me. The moon and Black Moon Lilith and the South Node are like the stalk, right, or the stems. And then at the top are all the flowers. So what's more important, the flowers or the stem? And that's the great thing about this. You're able to see the usefulness of both things within yourself, any extremes, and that's why you're able to unify them and turn them into fuel to move forward. Because you're sucking up all your own power so that you can move forward. You're not wasting it. Oh, why am I not this? Why am I not that? It's none of that. So Black Moon Lilith at 19 degrees in Virgo gives you that critical eye to say, okay, this is something I see. I don't have to be overly emotional about it. The key thing is, am I going to change the behavior or the way of operating in future? Or am I going to keep it the same? That's all it is. So it's not guilt. What guilt just shames you and if something has gone wrong. But the problem with it is it doesn't talk about amending. It doesn't talk about doing it differently in future. It just keeps you in the past in that negative space, and this is the solution to that. And then the South Node at 16 degrees in Libra, the thing that's going to come so easy is my ability to connect with other people. So, piece of cake, walk in the park. So if I again look at those empty houses, this isn't so much about real things. It's not about how I come across in the world or how much money I make or, you know, who my employer is, what I do for work. This is about, I feel a sense of love for myself. I want to connect with myself. That then spills over, the good work done there, spills over into my relationships with other people, which will allow me, or it gives me a much better chance to actually realize my hopes and dreams.
Valorant.
To other people
What's
in
up,
my life.
Zinal? How you doing?
Maybe I want to get married. Or maybe I
Are you
want
a
to have
Libra?
children. Or maybe I want to feel connected to the higher realms so that I feel like my life has meaning. So it's all about this stuff that exists within. You know, things that would fall under the realms of emotional pain or things that aren't visible about you, that you carry with you nonetheless. You're able to dump all of that and lighten the load. I love
The
this.
eclipse
It's so,
portal is opening, and with
poetic
it,
almost,
we're
you know, that this big light is like, and if you think about the earth rolling in on top of it and then casting this shadow, it's like this huge thing that I feel
Hey,
is out of
5
control,
stream streak. Thank you,
is now
Stan.
oppressing me.
Mr.
But the thing
October,
that I
oh,
didn't
nice.
notice is that the dark actually gives me the opportunity to find clues, right? So I think that's the best way to use this. Let's see, anything else? Let me just tilt my head. Ooh,
Glad
I've got
your
a
day
yod
was
in the
good.
chart
I'm
as
doing
well. So
pretty
the
good.
yod
Thank
is
you
known
for
as the finger
asking.
of God, and it's a very unique quality that's just here on this day.
Trying to
right?
fix my Valorant.
So, let's see, what does it connect? It connects Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus. Then they quincux the South Node in Libra. And then the South Node in Libra quincunxes Venus and Saturn in Pisces. And Venus and Saturn in Pisces then sextile Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus. And it closes up the big green finger, right? And the amazing quality here is that you're able to look at what you love and what's going on internally. But the amazing thing is you immediately are connected to the physical real world and you're able to apply it and you're able to build it and create it as a result. So it's instant. So I have the realization and immediately it's like, okay, well, I know this about myself, for instance, in relationships now, so there's nothing stopping me anymore, so I'm going to go find that relationship. You know, if that were possible. But it will feel that straightforward. The thing that kept me from my happiness in the past, I've now examined, it's gone, poof, and I can move ahead. So it's like a free therapy session. I love it. Okay, so let's see anything else. The modes, strongest modes are mutable. So you're able to feel what's going in and adapt as a result. And the strongest element in the moment of the eclipse is air, which is about ideas and my perspective and using my intellect as a scalpel to excise anything that's less than useful. Okay, so for each sign of the zodiac, Aries, you may notice that this full moon in Libra, the lunar eclipse, that you'll intuitively know the right people to connect with to get your ideas realized, especially to make kind of business transactions, to sign contracts, or even to start your own business. You're using this ability to connect in the area of work specifically. So if you need to set something up where there are a few people involved, do it this week, during this full moon in Libra, and listen to what comes through for you. Taurus, you're going to find it really easy to see what's important in your life, and you're able to create a whole new purpose for yourself. So if you've kind of run out of steam or you've been at a loose end, your gaze in is so insightful, you can then take such charge of it and really rebuild yourself from the root if you want. So it's a Marine becoming a opera singer. Gemini, you'll understand how you can make your passion a reality on your own, especially if it involves creating your own structure, whether it's business related or not, but whatever format your passion is going to look like, you're able to bridge the gap between those two. So I know how to realize this, and this is how it's going to look. All systems go. Let me do it. Cancer. You're going to find that you're very connected to your work.
Here, I'll tell you in a sec.
The sense that you're completely on the right track when it comes to your work, your business, your career. That's going to grow your confidence and remove uncertainty. So you will have this overall feeling, either this works for me or it doesn't, which immediately makes things less complicated. And if you have the crux, this is working for me, then it's not such a problem to tweak little things that might not work. But it's a huge relief. It's like, I know now by looking within that this is okay. I don't need to reinvent the wheel again. Leo, pay close attention to anyone who sends out an invitation to you, both personally and work-wise. If you get an offer around the time of the full moon, so the 24th, 25th, and 26th, jump on it. It's not going to lead you down the wrong path. It'll be a genuine, amazing opportunity that you can use to make progress. Virgo, things are likely to calm down for you, or you may feel that this eclipse gives you a sense of real calm. And you may also notice that you may have anticipated something negative coming your way. So maybe you've been dreading something, or something's been hanging over you like a sword of Damocles, right? It's this eclipse you'll experience as a removal of dread or the anticipation of something negative, and you'll start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So for you, it's a renewed connection with yourself gives you a greater hope than you had in the past. Libra, make sure you connect with as many people as possible for the best results during this full moon.
It says it requires secure boot to be enabled in order to play. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
Include as many people as possible in your life. You know, people throw out these little sayings, and you know, again with the book, a lot of people say writing a book takes a village, right? So anything in your life that takes a village, get that going. You'll find it very, very easy to make those connections with the right people. Scorpio, you may notice that something that's been unclear or uncertain in your life now comes into perfect focus, allowing you to act and to move ahead. So things really click for you guys during this full moon, so pay attention. Sagittarius, you're likely to draw someone's attention, and you can make new connections easily because you come across as very charming and attractive this week. If you're a single Sagittarius,
you have my autograph?
make sure
Yes, you can have my autograph, Stan.
Dating as many people as possible this week. You're kind of magnetic. You have this otherworldly influence on people. Capricorn, you may become acutely aware of the fact that you're managing and balancing everything in your life really well. Could even say perfectly. You're on top of things. So write down the percentages. How much are you, like let's say you're spending 60% of your day on work, 10 on socializing, 10 on exercise. Take note of what the current formula is. You found your sweet spot, and if you maintain those percentages, you're likely to maintain this feeling that you've got here during this full moon eclipse. Aquarius, take your own ideas around employment or self-employment seriously, and also make sure that you note things down. You're likely to have an influx of inspiration, and they're not just silly ideas, they're really valuable. Pisces, for you specifically, a light bulb goes on and you understand a core truth about yourself, and more importantly, you accept it. So that's going to make your connections in future much easier because you're showing this massive willingness to adapt to change and to do the work, which a lot of people often find very attractive too. So that's what I get for you here during this eclipse. I hope it gives you an idea of what you'll be working with. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to order your reading. And to draw up your birth chart, I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, that's not a problem. I can either use sunrise, but what's better is to rectify your chart, which means to manually work out your date of birth. And the way to do that is you send me 10 significant life events, things that you feel have kind of changed you. And then I can manually work out the time of birth, which is really useful because the chart changes every 4 minutes. So having an accurate time is really helpful. Then once I've got your birth chart, like the one next to me here, it's a snapshot of the sky at the moment you were born. And I can really give you a lot of insight into who you are, what's coming up in future, if you're going through a period of change or you're considering moving or getting married,
I could do that,
or
Stan.
investing or studying something different. The progress charts and transits really are useful in showing me where you are now and what's coming up in future. And then the astrocartography shows me actual locations that might be working for you or may work for you really, really nicely based on your astrology. So if you're interested in any of that or you have any questions, please do get in touch for a personal reading. I hope you have a fabulous time here. Check out the weekly horoscope as well. I go through each day of the week and also let you know how it works for your sign of the zodiac. So I hope this gives you something to go on. Have an amazing time and check out some of my other videos that I do on the channel. Thanks for joining me today. Have a fabulous lunar eclipse. I'll be with you for the total solar eclipse on the 8th of April. I'll make a video on that because that is really it can be a life-changing experience. I love it. Okay, so I hope you have a wonderful time. All the best, and I'll
undergoing transformation that will permanently alter our lives. We're heading towards some of the most important healing shifts of the entire year. So get ready to receive these crucial angel messages for the full moon lunar eclipse
I think I'm
cycle
gonna make a cup of tea.
starting on March 25th and spanning through April 7th, 2024. The full moon lunar eclipse occurs on March 25th, marking the beginning of the eclipse season and our entrance into a month of profound, life-altering transformation. Just to give you a sense of what is ahead for eclipse season, this lunar eclipse will be followed by an extremely powerful solar eclipse on April 8th. Then just one day before the eclipse season officially ends on April 22nd, we have the most highly anticipated cosmic shift of 2024, the April 21st conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus. Essentially, this eclipse season ahead is going to be an extremely powerful time for soul-level healing, ascension leaps in consciousness, and life changes that will permanently alter your path ahead. Now, a lunar eclipse, like the one we're having on March 25th, is essentially an extremely powerful full moon. Full moons are always about letting go of what no longer serves you, but a full moon lunar eclipse does this on a monumental level. Eclipses unlock faded soul contracts and align us with the timeline of our soul's highest intentions and destiny. This full moon lunar eclipse falls in the sign of Libra, just 5 days after the March equinox, continuing the equinox's energetic theme of healing for balance. Whatever needs rebalancing in your life is going to get a major dose of healing and transformation, especially related to Libra's biggest lesson areas, such as relationships and social networks. It's also important to know that this is a South Node eclipse. The South Node is a point in the sky that symbolizes the foundations and roots of your past. As such, you're going to be called to review the past and face what now needs to come to an end in your life. This is going to be like walking through a doorway that you'll never pass through again, a departure from the old that gives way to deep energetic clearing. A lunar eclipse that is aligned with the South Node symbolizes an incredibly deep cleanse for your life, an act of culmination, closure, and moving on that creates a full departure from the past. It is also important to know that the lessons and transformations that arise this eclipse season are part of a bigger eclipse cycle that began in April of 2023. We'll then revisit these same themes again in October of 2024 and March of 2025, meaning you're on a long-term path of incredibly deep-level transformation that will usher you into a brand new consciousness and a much higher perspective on your life. With this intense and exciting cosmic backdrop in mind, let's dive into the angels' 3 crucial messages
What's up,
for
Ultimate?
this
How you
lunar
doing?
eclipse. All 3 of these messages will likely apply
How's
to
it
your
going,
path
Master
in
Wolf?
some way, but if you'd like to get a feel for which
Hey, Cassie, you do know the eclipse was last night, right? Was it at midnight on the 25th? Because it's March 25th.
message is going to be your leading theme.
Also,
or soul
the
lesson.
energy of the eclipse, like in astrology, it's like the lunar eclipse happens, and then the energy is kind of like lasting until like the solar eclipse happens, is how the people that I've listened to describe it.
Then pick a number right now in your head, 1, 2, or 3. Whichever number you're drawn to first will represent your leading angel
One sec,
message.
I gotta grab a drink.
Ready? Let's dive in. The angel's first message for this lunar eclipse cycle is all about a relationship reset. According to the angels, relationships are ground zero for where you'll experience the most amount of spiritual growth in your life. During this eclipse cycle, your relationships are up for review. You're going to be guided to reevaluate whether or not your relationships do or do not serve your highest divine good. This is especially pronounced by the alignment between Venus, the planet of love and relationships, and Saturn, the planet of responsibility, structure, and long-term goals. This alignment symbolizes a deep emotional evaluation of your relationships and how they measure up to your long-term goals and your values. Since full moon lunar eclipses are all about endings, it is very likely that you'll be guided to either end a relationship that isn't serving you or cut
Very
a
cool.
relationship cord.
Good luck with the move,
If
Wolfie.
you're at a crossroads in your relationship and need help, I highly recommend calling on Archangel Michael and inviting him to help you to cut any etheric cords of fear you may be holding towards this relationship. An etheric cord is essentially the energetic appearance of a fear-based mental attachment that either drains you or holds you in alignment with some kind of toxic energy. For help in cord cutting, I left the link to my cord cutting meditation in the description below so that you can use that to do some important energetic work on this with Archangel Michael. If you're in a toxic relationship that does not serve your highest good or is preventing you from reaching your full potential and fulfilling your soul purpose, then you'll be guided to realize it and take action to change it. This is reflected in Venus's sextile alignment with the planet of expansion, Jupiter, symbolizing the desire to
strawberry
expand
lemonade.
beyond what you currently have in your relationship.
Lemonade is so good at
This
quenching
may be
thirst. I love
further
lemonade.
pronounced by March 28th when Venus moves into a sextile with Uranus, the planet of freedom and revolution, symbolizing the yearning for more freedom and independence in a relationship. Now, not all relationships that are under scrutiny within this energy shift will necessarily end. In some cases, relationship contracts will be updated and edited to remove what isn't working and get all individuals involved on the same page with regards to upholding common values. Upholding shared values is the key ingredient to compatibility and relationship harmony. So, your angels will be guiding you to better understand where your true values lie and how to harmonize that with others. Now, on an even deeper level, your angels want you to know that this is going to bring forward a huge consciousness shift regarding your relationship attachment style. Essentially, you're going to be guided to better understand how you form attachments and why. So, as you review your relationships, ask yourself, are my attachments in this relationship honestly based in love, security, safety, and peace? Or are they based in insecurity, anxiety, or fear? If so, what are those fears? For example, at a deeper emotional level, is your approach to attachment based on the fear of abandonment, rejection, or lack of predictability and control in a relationship setting? Explore this with your angels and ask for their guidance in understanding the deepest root level of where you originally learned to attach in this way. When you heal at your roots, you can heal your attachment style such that you no longer attract relationships that continually re-trigger your deepest wounds, and instead make way for a relationship of authentic safety and security. The angels are asking to take this to an even deeper and even more specific place. Your angels want you to know that one of the biggest relationship patterns currently under soul level pressure and scrutiny is people-pleasing. People-pleasing is, in truth, a profound act of self-abandonment and fear-based manipulation. Those who are most susceptible to patterns of people-pleasing are empaths. I am well aware of this as an empath myself and as a recovering people-pleaser. You see, empaths have a high level of spiritual, emotional, and physical sensitivity. That sensitivity can be an absolute superpower and can help you to hold a very high consciousness of unity and compassion for the world. However, many empaths experience disempowerment when they learn, as a result of toxic relationships, to people please in an attempt to control or predict others. When you're in a toxic, unpredictable relationship, you fundamentally don't feel safe. An empath
Really,
not
Stan?
only feels this, but also processes the
I think I've talked
emotional
about it
state of
before.
that other person in the relationship.
I definitely used to people please. I definitely do not anymore. I used to be really, really bad about it because I used to have to, like, do it for safety. Given the environments that I was in. But still, it's, like, hard to break out of it, but it's definitely worth looking into and worth breaking out of it and doing things you authentically feel good about, not just things to don't live your life for other people, essentially. Like, connections are wonderful and beautiful, but, like, if it's a true connection and a true friendship and, like, true love, you won't need to people please. You'll be able to, like, present how you authentically feel and what you authentically want, and you'll still be able to have a connection. Imposter syndrome. Yeah, people pleasing and imposter syndrome are things I am very, very familiar with. Similar? I can kind of see that. They're very different though, because, like, imposter syndrome is, like, yeah, I guess like imposter syndrome could trigger you to people please because you're not really, like, confident in yourself. You don't feel like you deserve good things, so you feel like you have to, like, please other people or do things for other people. I could kind of see that. For sure. That makes sense a lot.
As if the other person's emotions are their own. So many empaths then learn to people please in an attempt to change the mental state of others around them and thereby try to feel safe. However, this is doing the opposite of making you truly feel safe. If you have to betray yourself by putting others' feelings and expectations before,
It's like if you tell me, oh wow, the sky's very blue today, and I'm like, no, the sky is orange. I'm gaslighting you. But unless I perceive it as that, or it's changed, I don't know. Gaslighting's tricky territory because it's like, in my opinion, there's a difference between gaslighting someone, like, intentionally, like, I'm going to gaslight you, gaslighting someone unintentionally because you have a different memory of something, or just having complete different perceptions of something. It's like when you look at an art piece, like, different people will get different things out of the art piece. It'll mean different things to them based off of their, like, subjective viewpoint. But yeah, to the other person, if they see it completely differently, it can kind of feel like, bro, you're gaslighting me right now. The sky's blue, not orange. But what if the other person's, like, colorblind and they see, like, blue as orange, like, you know? But But most of the time, what people are referring to when they use the term gaslight is like malicious like behavior, like someone's intentionally gaslighting you. But you can also kind of gaslight yourself, like if you like are kind of delusional about something, or if like say you feel like someone treated you badly, and maybe kind of objectively they kind of did treat you badly, and so you can kind of like gaslight yourself and be like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's a whole thing of itself, how to like balance like reacting versus like leaving situations when someone doesn't treat you well. That's a whole thing. But oh, okay, I just started. Anyways,
or your own needs in order to manipulate and control the environment around you, you're never going to feel as if it is safe for you to be you or safe to trust in others. This is a huge collective shadow that is about to be illuminated so that empaths can rise into their power, which is exactly why I'm opening up enrollment for my Empaths Empowerment course soon. If you're an empath and you'd like to experience a revolution in personal healing and spiritual empowerment, then click the link I left for you in the description.
I don't remember what the last thing you heard was, but it's okay.
To get on my
We'll watch the
empaths
video.
list so that you can be first in line to grab a spot in the course. Spots will be limited and granted on a first come, first served basis, so if you're feeling called to this, then be sure to get on that list. Overall,
What's up, Pump Daddy?
at
How
its
you doing?
core, this current relationship healing energy shift is reminding us that everyone we meet is a teacher and a reflection of a deeper part of ourselves. We are all pieces of one another, united in one conscious whole. Even if you don't face your relationship conflicts head on during this eclipse cycle, there is still going to be a huge inner shift that will fundamentally change what you're bringing to the table in your relationships. This is good because you cannot truly avoid this healing or pretend the shift isn't happening. The divine energy flowing into our collective through this eclipse season is like a powerful medicine of the psyche.
One example of gaslighting, I believe, is just not letting someone talk and or being loud. I mean, I guess it would depend. It would make it like gaslighting if it was what was being said, where they're like you're trying to get a word in and explain yourself, but they're like steamrolling you is kind of why I associate that with, is like someone being loud and not letting you get a word in. I see that more as like steamrolling, but in that situation they could like gaslight you and make you feel like the thing that they're doing that's like a toxic communication style is your fault. then that for sure would be gaslighting. So glad this is ending. It's annoying to keep going through this after I learned my lesson. Like, universe, I passed the test. You can stop now. Dude, I feel that.
And will be doing its work no matter what. The angels.
This is a big pinnacle moment for us all. I know it. Evolution time, boys.
Message for this lunar eclipse cycle is about self-discovery. During this lunar eclipse, we'll have a stellium, which is when 3 or more astral bodies align in one sign, occurring in Aries. This stellium includes the Sun,
Yes, like
Mercury,
Pokemon.
Venus, Chiron, and Eris, all in the sign of Aries. Aries symbolizes an energy all about individuality, finding the self, discovering your truth, and claiming your inner authority. This is bringing up a big push to find your true values and align with them by cultivating an empowered relationship with yourself. Remember, relationships with others are powerful mirrors for discovering deep, sometimes hidden pieces of yourself. Since this eclipse is going to be so relationship healing centric, you're bound to discover hidden truths about yourself too. According to the angels, this self-discovery is going to be guiding you to upgrade your relationship with yourself so that your self-love is supporting your self-empowerment. There's a very assertive, warrior-like energy rising up around this urge for self-empowerment. You might find yourself wanting to shout from the rooftops, "I know who I truly am," and I am letting my truth lead the order of my priorities so that I can fulfill my highest divine purpose. Taking this even deeper, the angels want you to know that there is a high likelihood of your specifically being guided to clear power struggles, unmask ego's fear-based judgments, break free from elitism, and claim your true unconditional value. According to the angels, you are unconditionally valuable, precious, and worthy just for existing. You don't have to measure up to any external ideal in order to be worthy of love, freedom, or self-empowerment. Your self-worth is of uncontested, unmeasurable, infinite value, and you're being asked to wake up to this truth now. Anything in your life that isn't serving your power or your ability to center your perspective in your self-worth will be put under pressure to dissolve and clear. Since this is a South Node lunar eclipse, this may very likely mean discovering the deepest hidden roots of anything that caused you to learn to block out your self-love or self-worth in the past. It is time to face those old wounds, forgive and release attachment to them, and rise into a higher level of consciousness through self-love. In other words, the deepest purpose of the self-discovery that you're being guided to achieve is self-love. You're being guided to better understand yourself so that you can learn how to better love yourself. God is love, and God is also the source of all power in the universe. When you love yourself, you are not only seeing yourself as God sees you, but also aligning with the power of God and allowing that power to shine through you. You're now being...
Your channel is about to grow in a big way? Interesting. What do you mean? With self-love? That's the video, by the way, guys. I also posted it in Discord. I periodically post little videos like this I watch in my free time in Discord if you guys are interested in it. If you're not already a part of it, the link should be on all my links.
Guided to do a
the guy in the last video was saying it's a good time for like community building. I don't know if this was specifically a Gemini thing or a general thing he was saying. Might have been a Gemini thing, might have been a general thing. It's a good time to make like big organizations, which I've always wanted to do some kind of nonprofit. No, you're going to get more viewers / subs soon. Why do you say that, Wolfie? I appreciate it. I have been doing fantastic on Twitch since I came back. I'm very, very grateful for Kick and YouTube and everything as well. You leveled up a year ago, but I was doing this before that too. What do you mean? How'd you level up?
Overhaul of your personal value.
I'm probably going to be doing some IRL streams when I'm traveling next month. I'm excited for that. I'm also going to be going to TwitchCon this year, so very excited for that. I hope I can meet some cool people, get some cool networking opportunities, see some cool new tech. I don't know what to expect. I've never been to TwitchCon, so I'm excited, but I'm nervous. I'm very nervous.
So that they line up with your self-love. If any aspect of your life, beliefs, or patterns don't serve your self-love, then you're really going to feel this and get a strong dose of spiritual medicine to rearrange your priorities to better support your self-love. By the way, with the tight conjunction between Mercury, the planet of communication, and Eris, the minor planet of rebellion and fairness, you might feel called to assertively speak your truth in order to enact the equality and fairness that supports your self-love. This will initiate a major energetic upgrade in your throat chakra, your center of communication, your solar plexus chakra, your center of power, and your sacral chakra, your center of passion. Each of these energies...
Yo, okay, but like, is it just me, or is that just like part of the human condition? Like, every time I'm in like that cocoon and chrysalis before I have like a evolution moment of like who I am, I definitely have a breakdown. I'm definitely like, this is what I want, and it's confusing and messy, and yeah, it happens. It happens, man. I know a lot of people who have been crazy for a brief moment, including myself. I'm nervous for you and other friends also going to conventions. I wish it wasn't like that. I do wish it wasn't so scary to go out and about in the world. That's why I'm such a hermit, but I also don't want to completely hermit my whole life. I want to be a part of the world, you know.
Energy centers are likely to unlock high frequency consciousness based in your newly reforming foundation of self-love and rising awareness of your inner truth.
Kundalini psychosis.
The angel's
Interesting.
third
I've heard
message for the
Kundalini.
lunar eclipse cycle is about experiencing a spiritual healing breakthrough. The minor planet Chiron, symbolizing the wounded healer, is still conjunct the North Node, symbolizing our future collective destiny. This alignment will peak on the April 8th solar eclipse, so we're currently working our way up to the pinnacle of self-healing for 2024. Since the North Node represents our collective destiny, it means that our human collective will be undergoing mass healing. Any past wounds or traumas that have collectively shaped humanity's evolution will now be under a spotlight of healing. According to the angels, we're being especially guided to heal from the effects of victimhood, war, and conflict. This doesn't mean that all of the world's problems in these areas are about to disappear overnight. What it means is that we're being guided to consciously face these issues with a much deeper scope of awareness than ever before. This might mean that things feel more uncomfortable or challenging around these issues for a time, because in order to heal a wound, you have to face it first. That is what the archetype of the wounded healer is all about, facing the wounds within to gain an intimate understanding of them, which enables healing. According to the angels, there are many seeds currently being planted around social healing. As such, we may see a rise in demands for freedom, truth, and decentralization of power in societies all around the world. On a more personal, individual level, this healing is going to guide you to awaken to higher spiritual truths and activate your inner spiritual teacher. During this eclipse, Mars is conjunct Fomalhaut, one of the four royal stars symbolizing the spiritual teacher,
never heard
and
of
Archangel
Fomalhaut.
Gabriel. Archangel Gabriel is the angel of communication, spiritual teaching, parenting, and healing the inner child. I tuned in to Archangel Gabriel for a message for this eclipse and received a vision of beautiful liquid light flowing into the collective psyche from the heart of the Creator Source. Gabriel then simply communicated the word, breathe. We're currently receiving an influx of divine light that will help us through a personal rebirth based in the discovery of our divine power within. Breathing is an excellent channel for integrating and grounding higher divine light, since air is a great element for transmitting spiritual energy into the physical realm. As we receive this influx of high-frequency divine light, many people's psychic gifts will either come online or sharpen. Pay attention to dreams, visions, synchronicities, and powerful inner messages you receive during this time. Your psychic current is rising in vibration, increasing your spiritual sensitivity, and translating light codes into grounded information and new perception. The insight you receive at this time may totally change your life's path and help you to upgrade to a higher timeline for manifesting your soul's highest intentions for this life. It's also worth mentioning that on March 29th, the sun will be conjunct the dwarf planet Salacia in Aries. Salacia is the mythological wife of Neptune, representing mermaid energy, healing through the element of water, and the illumination of our light bodies. So not only will the element of air be important during this lunar eclipse, but so too will water. Water, like air, is also a powerful elemental translator of spiritual energy into physical energy. Your angels are urging you to spend time near bodies of water or soaking in a sea salt bath to help you integrate the new frequencies blooming in your light body during this eclipse season. This will help to usher in the energies of
I'm not trying to like overcorrelate this, but I have been craving to take like 3 baths a day lately, and I'm like, am I depressed or what? I love baths. I haven't had a bathtub in months, so I have a bathtub now again. So I've just been really loving that thing, and I also don't have to pay a water bill. So yes, you can have mermaid energy or merman energy. You can tap into that too, Stan. I love baths so much. Whenever I get to design my own home, that's gonna be like a key priority is the bathhouse. I really vibe with like how like Japanese culture really like has bathhouses and that kind of thing. I want a big, beautiful like bathhouse slash greenhouse. Maybe it'll also be my office space. Cause like, yeah, I would just like live like that and work like that. I have fairy energy. Thank you, Wolfie. I kind of have a little bit of siren, fairy, nymph, gremlin energy. I'm a little bit of a gremlin sometimes. Fairies can kind of be like that. Fairies and pixies can be kind of mischievous, though, I would say. It's like in their nature.
Renewal, rebirth, fertility, and healing. In addition to breath work, as I mentioned before, and connecting with water, I highly recommend calling in Mother Earth and the archangels to help hold space for you as you receive your healing breakthrough and rise into new consciousness during this eclipse season. Thank you so much for receiving these messages and for liking, commenting, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell.
Never had a bath
If
as an
these
adult?
messages
What?
resonated, I'd be
No way.
so grateful if you hit the like button, as this will help other spiritual seekers just like you find these messages in YouTube's algorithm. Do remember to check the links in the description to join my Empaths Empowerment list and do my Archangel Michael cord cutting meditation. And of course, know until next time that you are so
I feel like I should do a cord cutting meditation. I feel like I need that. Got a few cords, man. They're a little bit tangled. You haven't had a bath like the whole time you've been an adult, Stan? Are you kidding? Bro, do you have a bath at your house? I, as somebody who lives like a quarter of their life in the bathtub, highly recommend baths for de-stressing and anxiety and just self-care. I love baths. Highly recommend it. You do not have a bath. That makes sense. A lot of people don't have baths. Yeah, like my old house, I didn't have one. Man, maybe I just need to open up a bathhouse retreat. Like, with a massage parlor inside. They didn't make bathtubs for normal size people standard, yeah. I saw this one, though, that's like, it's like a pool. Like, it's like a bathroom, and then the whole thing, like, fills up. And it's ginormous. Right, dude, I really want to travel this next coming year and, bro, get all the inspiration, and then next year, buy a piece of land, build it like a dope bathhouse, and just, maybe have it as like a little business thing, maybe. That would take some of the stress off life. But like, super affordable. But I also want to like grow veggies and I don't know, like have my friends live on the land and stuff, so. Yes, and you can just, it's like also a greenhouse, so you could just like pick the flowers you want in the bath. Like there's like roses and like lavender. Bro, I'm just like imagining this in my head. I'm manifesting this right now. It's gonna be so cool. Okay, I still gotta make my tea. If you don't have a bathtub, make a glass of tea. Put the bath inside you. They're not? But it said cord cutting though. Hexing if you're into that shit, bro. No. Can I do like a reverse hex? Because I'm pretty sure I've been hexed. Like I'm pissed off the wrong witches, okay? I love them and I wish we could talk, but they hate me and I don't think there's anything I can do about it. So, a reverse hex. I don't want to cast it back at them, but just like a shield. Oh man. Or just like a shield, please. And then cut the cords around it, and then have my little nest in here. Okay, do I have to verbally say who I'm cutting cords from? Or can I like write it and then burn it, and then you guys won't know. Cause like I could do it on stream with you guys, but I kind of don't want like, yeah, I don't want to say who. Okay, I'll do that. I'm not really too sure, honestly, Wolfie. I would say I am very, like, new on my spiritual journey, and, like, looking more into that side of things. Probably, like, since, like, 2019. I was, with someone and in environments for a long time that looked down upon that stuff a lot. So I just kind of like didn't really dabble. But yeah, so I'm pretty recent. 2019. I guess it's been like 5 years. Damn, it's been 5 years. It's time to let go, boys. It's time to let go. I can't keep like looking back at like 2019 like it's gone. It's a memory now.
I'm driving your car with you, sleeping in the seat next to me like a baby. You twist and you turn, you are traveling fast like a bird in a dream. Look at it go, look at it dance over the sky like a rocket. A love machine, a cinematic dream, so pure that it hurts when the beauty is lost in the speed. 'Cause everything matters to me. To me, to me, to me, to me, to me.
Do you know if you've already had your Saturn return, Wolfie?
Where the light comes from the dark, you're a part of the morning, and
Whoa, that looks cool.
everything matters. There we are, an atom and a star. You're a part of the movement, and everything matters. To me, to me, to me, to me. I'm watching a storm turn into form in the clouds of the
Where do you recommend,
like
like, as like the most important place to study, or the most important book or teacher?
and it hurts. Look at it go, look at it dance over the sky like a rocket. A teacher, a simulated dream, a cure for the hurt and the pleasure you feel is real. You're a part of the dawn where the light comes from the dark. You're a part of the morning, and everything matters. There we are, an atom and a star. You're a part of the movement, and everything matters. To me, to me, to me, to me. To me.
Right.
To me, to me, to me. Quelque part
Right.
dans l'aube, quand la lumière
Yeah, like I've
quelque part
been around a lot of people who like to come to their own conclusions, but I've also been around a lot of people who study too. So I'm always interested to see, yeah, like where people like either like start or like the most important like foundational place for them for their like wisdom or knowledge. Mine, I would say, is largely internal right now. I haven't done like a ton of bookwork. I've had psychedelic experiences. I've listened to quite a bit of podcasts and read some books, but not enough. Definitely not enough. So I'm always curious. Last year when I got the rest of the abilities, I just studied everything. A lot of things like parallel to the truth, but Kundalini seems to be the closest by far. Yeah, I get like wary too because of like, I guess like certain things that have happened in the spiritual community, like where to get my information from. Like, 'cause, I don't know, there's been some interesting situations, to say the least. But yeah, I do watch like a lot of like Andrew Huberman. I'm also a very like I'm a very skeptic kind of person. But I'm also a very like creative, like go with the flow kind of person. I don't know. But I like it when there's like science that I can like apply to things when talking to people about things, because otherwise there's a very large portion of people in my life where like they're like, that's woo woo. So I like to have as much like science to back things up to when I'm like conversing with people that are like that. Right. Because some stuff I have a hard time putting to words, and I can kind of like have a hard time communicating sometimes. And so when I'm trying to describe it to someone, I'm like, I probably sound insane. I'm sorry. So then I don't talk about it, but it's like, I don't know, man. It's cool meeting different types of people with different mindsets. It makes me feel a little less crazy. Right, Wolfie, right. I love finding out new words for that reason, though. To try.
Soul Tribe, friends and family, Venus lovers, how are you guys doing? It's Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. I'm excited to bring you this video. I called it the Finger of God, not because I'm trying to do anything religious here, but there's a very interesting aspect in the coming full moon, which is a worm moon, okay? It's called a yod, and the yod, the shape in a chart, is formed by three different aspects, and they call it the finger of fate or the finger of God. So I thought it'd be interesting to look at that a little bit. So you guys are doing good. I'm doing great. I am about 2 weeks left to go in my
Holy,
current
who's that? Is
job,
Zypha.
and then I have 2
Them with
weeks
some
off for
anime
the
boobies.
eclipse,
Hello.
and then I start my new job. And things are just really coming together. I'm feeling really guided. I absolutely love doing this astrology for you guys. It's for you. It helps me live a guided life. And so whatever I can share with you to help you do the same thing, that's what I'm trying to do here. So that having been said, if anything I say in this video doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. Move on. It's fine. What I'm going to do is talk to you first about the significance of worms. I thought that might be a cool little rabbit hole to go down. It'll be about 2 or 3 minutes.
Do
I'm
you
going
love
to
me if I
show
was a worm,
you
guys?
a yod. I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to show you what it means in astrology and how we work with it. It's a dynamic aspect. It's super interesting. After that, we are going to talk about the lunar eclipse and the aspects that are being made. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it to you through the houses as well. Okay. I'm going to give you a challenge and then I'm going to give you your mission for wherever Virgo is in your constellational chart. And I believe it's Libra for the tropical astrologers. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that was my update. So this is a worm moon. What does a worm moon mean? Well, the reason it's called a worm moon is because in the Farmer's Almanac, this is the time of year where the worms come up from the ground and they, start to eat and consume all the decaying material from the previous winter. So I thought it'd be really interesting to look at the spiritual significance of worms. And I found some really interesting things. One of the things that we look at is the energy of life from death. So, like we talked about, the decaying energy of winter, all the detritus and leaves and branches that are dead and no longer thriving, they're mixed up into the soil. They become a compost that these little worms eat, and then the worms become food for other animals. Um, the other thing about worms is that they're a sign of fertility too, because worms inherently are hermaphroditic. They've got both. So I give it to you through the houses as well. Okay. I'm going to give you a challenge. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that was my update. So this is a worm moon. What does a worm moon mean? Well, the reason it's called a worm moon is because in the Farmer's Almanac, this is the time of year where the worms come up from the ground, all the decaying material from the previous winter. So I thought it'd be really interesting to look at the
Oh my
spiritual
god,
significance
Wolfie.
of worms. And I found some really interesting things. One of the things that we look at is the energy of life from death. So, like we talked about, the decaying energy of winter, all the detritus and leaves and branches that are dead and no longer thriving, they're mixed up into the soil. They become a compost that these little worms eat, and then the worms become food for other animals. Um, the other thing about worms is that they're a sign of fertility too, because worms inherently are hermaphroditic. They've got both sex organs, male and female. And so whenever they reproduce, it's up to them. So it's self reproduction. It's super interesting. Also, they're regenerative. So if you, earthworms anyway, if you cut off their tail will grow back. You can't cut them up into segments. You can do that with a different kind of worm, but with the round worms, the ones in the ground that we see in the springtime, if you cut off their tail, it will regrow. So we have, life from death, we have regeneration, we have reproductive choice and fertility. And then there's an ancient Indian feeling about worms where they go from one plane of existence to the other when the rains come down. So they go from earth to water. And I just think it's super interesting because if you look in the constellations, the sun's going to be in Pisces and the moon's going to be in Virgo. So you have a water sign and an earth sign. So we're coming, and the south node is in the earth, which is where we come from, and the north node is in Pisces, which is water, which is where we're going. Okay. So I just thought that was really synchronous and interesting. So if you guys want to, dive into that a little more, just Google the spiritual significance of worms. All right. Let me just briefly talk to you guys about, I'll share my screen and we'll talk about the yod in astrology. Finger of fate or the finger of God. So here it is. I basically put a little PowerPoint slide together for you guys. I'm going to get my pen out. And what you see here is aspect lines. So what an aspect means is the relationship that planets are making with each other. In this particular chart, we're going to have Jupiter with Uranus, and we're going to have Venus with Saturn. And then down here, we're going to have the South Node. And then a day after the full moon, the moon's going to move into this space. So what this means is that there's a sextile between these two planets. So this is the skill. So if this is in your birth chart, this is a great way to interpret a yod in your chart. The sextile indicates the skill that you have, the energy between these two planets. The challenge comes from what's called the quincunx. So I think this is like 60 degrees, I want to say. This is 150 degrees. And so the challenge is bringing the energy of, let's say, Jupiter in Aries with the South Node in Virgo and what that energy means. There's usually a subtle tension that's very hard to ignore with a quincunx. And in medical astrology, the quincunx is huge. Like, it's actually a more important aspect than even a square. So the two challenges are bringing this skill to bear with this challenge. And so the mission is here. Okay. Now, in the chart that we're working with for the full moon, the lunar eclipse, we've got what's called a boomerang yod. And so not only do you have the original pointed finger, you've also got a opposition between Chiron, which is next to the North Node up here. So you have Chiron and North Node with Moon and South Node down here. So you get skill, challenge, mission, and then action, reaction. Okay. And when we look at the chart, I'll go into that a little bit more. I brought this graphic forward into the actual chart. So the interesting thing about yods is that a yod is traditionally known as the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's also the smallest. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert. This is just stuff I, looked up. And in Jewish mystical traditions, the yod represents a dot, a divine point of energy. It's the spark or the spirit of everything that comes down to earth. Okay, so a person born with a yod in their chart, a lot of astrologers consider them spiritual warriors or fated or guide people that have a lot of problems when they first start out. But then once they get through their challenges, they know their mission and the universe typically supports them in a big way. So we're going to see what that looks like on a chart very shortly. While I'm getting myself together here, I just wanted to give you guys a couple of announcements. I still have my 2024 natal chart and eclipse forecast reading available. I'll leave a link down there. But I'm also going to launch a new reading for those of you that want to do just the solar eclipse on the 8th. It's going to be, it's called the Flash Solar Eclipse Quick Read. It's going to be like a 30, 45-minute video analyzing that new moon solar eclipse against your natal placements. You'll get a recording that you can download and a PDF of your chart with a multi-wheel chart of the eclipse. And then I will also do a intention activation at the end of your video based on what I see in your chart, what intentions I think that you should set in order to use this eclipse energy for your highest possible timeline. It's a little bit cheaper because we're getting closer to the eclipse and I want to help as many of you as possible. So I will leave a link below for you there. Let's look at space real quick because I want y'all to see where this moon is so you don't think I'm crazy. But that's okay if you think I'm crazy. Lunatic, right? Mental illness. Here's the moon in the constellation of Virgo. Now, I know that constellational astrology and tropical astrology are different. Tropical astrology is a derivation of actual astronomy, and it divides the sky into 12 equal slices. The constellations are not 12 equal slices. So as a result, you've got different positions in the sky. Now, should you read a Libra moon right now? I don't know. That's up to you. It just takes it gives it a more of a simplistic energy for me if I just look at the sky and see the moon in Virgo. So there it is, right smack dab in the middle of Virgo on the 25th of March. Okay, so that is space. Let me show you the sun too, because that's important also. So we'll just move this ahead a few hours so you can see the sun.
Never underestimate the power of kindness. But of course, not
unseen realm which coexists with us. To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. The magician is the most mysterious and fascinating of all archetypes. That the magician has fascinated human consciousness since ancient times is evident by taking a cursory glance at all the myths, legends, literature, movies and video games in which he appears. In literature, he often appears as a wise old man, a seer, a hermit, or a madman living far away from civilization and in contact with nature, animals, and the numinous. The magician is a person who has gained access to esoteric or occult, hidden knowledge, bringing the spiritual to the material. He has what the English visionary artist William Blake calls fourfold vision. It is a glimpse of eternity, whereby the smallest things in the world holds a cosmic significance. Thus, the magician has a deep relationship with the unseen realm, which coexists with us, but on a different level of reality or consciousness. The magician is the mentor or guide to his people, and even to the king. In all the times when a king became possessed by his anger and wanted to punish others unjustly, the magician, with measured and reasoned thinking, would reawaken the king's conscience and good sense by releasing him from his tempestuous mood. The court magician, in effect, was the king's psychotherapist. Those rulers who failed to take the counsel of the magician were more likely to become tyrannical dictators, leading to the fall of their empire. The magician has become ever-present in our collective consciousness. Professor Dumbledore in Harry Potter, Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings, the Jedi Masters Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars, etc. Early in the hero's journey, the young hero receives assistance from his mentors who have magical powers, so that he may gain knowledge and practical skills to overcome his dragon, and gather the gold and share it with his people, allowing the hero to mature into manhood. The magician is an initiate of secret and hidden knowledge of all kinds. All knowledge that takes special training to acquire is the province of the magician energy. The most popular magician archetype is Merlin of the Arthurian legend, which inspired our modern popular fiction. He is a sage with gifts of clairvoyance, prophecy, and magic powers. He forms part of the literary genre of chivalric romance, which evokes magic, heroic knights, dragons, and distressed damsels. Merlin is the advisor of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, who embark on a quest in search of the Holy Grail. Though Merlin remains for the most part hidden in the background, his presence is felt. The archetype of the magician stands out as an uncanny, mysterious, distant, and sometimes even a disturbing figure. Merlin was begotten by an incubus and born of an innocent virgin. He is a child prodigy, a product of the terrestrial and the supernatural. Merlin is a prophet sent from hell, the Antichrist, whose birth is intended to reverse the effect of Christ's harrowing of hell. The light side of his mother, however, ultimately triumphs, and Merlin becomes the embodiment of the whole man, the self, a figure that holds the union of opposites, light and dark, in one being. This struggle of opposites also arises when Merlin tells the king that there's a red dragon and white dragon fighting underneath the kingdom, which is the reason the walls of his tower kept collapsing. This is something that people were unconscious of, but which they felt nonetheless. Merlin possesses the ability to see into the depths and to diagnose the roots of a problem that cannot or will not be seen on the surface. Before the Arthurian legend, however, Merlin had roots in Welsh mythology as the bard Myrddin the Wild, who had gone mad after being involved in a war and fled civilization to become a wild man of the woods, a reference, perhaps, to the Roman invasion of the Druids in ancient Celtic cultures. After Merlin vanished from the world into the forest, people still hear his cries, so the legend runs, but they cannot understand or interpret them. The figure of Merlin arises from the tension between paganism and Christianity. The Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst Carl Jung writes, "The magician has preserved in himself a trace of primitive paganism. He possesses a nature that is still unaffected by the Christian dichotomy, and is in touch with the still pagan unconscious, where the opposites lie side by side in their original naive state, beyond the reach of sinfulness, but liable, if assimilated into conscious life, to beget evil as well as good, with the same daimonic energy. Therefore, he is a destroyer as well as a savior. This figure is therefore preeminently suited to become the symbol carrier for an attempt at unification." Along with Merlin, the other great archetype of the magician is Thoth, the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom, magic, and writing, who later became syncretized with Hermes, the Greek messenger of the gods, and Psychopomp, resulting in Hermes Trismegistus, the sage and magician to whom all truth-seekers dedicated their discoveries of their wisdom, including the Emerald Tablet. and various works known as the Hermetica, related on the one hand to astrology, medicine, botany, alchemy, and magic, and on the other to religious, spiritual, or mystical teachings. Hermetic writings contain a great deal of magic, as is seen in the Greek magical papyri, which shows a collection of hundreds of spells, formulae, rituals, and hymns that span nearly every situation imaginable, and the Chironides, which illustrates the secret forces of nature and how they can be learned and magically used to ensure success, protection, and healing. While classical scholars have denigrated these magical texts as merely superstitious, others see them as a collection of great religious literature. Practitioners of magic have had a long history of persecution, for magic was considered heresy, an unwelcome and improper expression of religion, the religion of the other. This brought about an intensive period of witch hunts, especially in early modern Europe. Magic is, in fact, the shadow of religion, representing its unknown, repressed, and hidden qualities. Astrology became astronomy, and alchemy became not only chemistry, but also, according to Jung, the forerunner of our modern psychology of the unconscious. In this sense, magic is also called the mother of science. Despite the persecution of the magicians, they could not, of course, be cast out. None of the archetypes of the collective unconscious can be. Jungian analyst Marie-Louise von Franz writes, "Magic is probably one of the oldest of man's spiritual activities. Whenever a new conscious attitude arises, the old knowledge, the previous attitude, sinks onto the level of magic. Magic is therefore the older form of spiritual and religious knowledge and activity, which has been superseded by a new spiritual religious attitude, and therefore has sunk back into a more unconscious condition." One of the most ancient forms of magic were fertility rituals, used to propitiate the gods in order to ensure plentiful crops and fertile women. This works through sympathetic magic, which is based on the principle of correspondence. It proposes that one can influence something based on its resemblance to another thing, like affects like, such that forces of nature are to be influenced by the act carried out in the ritual. For example, Paleolithic cave paintings were associated with the magic of the hunt. Perhaps these paintings were made to act out a hunt before it began, or to consecrate the animal to be killed. Humans have had magical religious impulses through all of recorded history, and presumably before. The Sorcerer is the name for an enigmatic painting found in a French cavern known as the Sanctuary. It was made around 13,000 BC, and seems to be some kind of great spirit or master of animals. In ancient Mesopotamia, magical incantations were inscribed on cuneiform clay tablets. Rituals were performed by the Asipu, who were well versed in the magical arts, but also likely in medicine, priesthood, and scholarship. Magicians used to serve as advisors to kings and great leaders, and apotropaic magic was used as a defense against evil sorcerers and for banishing the effect of evil influences, such as a curse or evil eye, with the help of good luck charms, amulets, talismans, certain gestures, etc. Today we still knock on wood to ward off bad luck. Apotropaic magic became widespread in ancient Greece. The Sumerian god Enki was associated with magic and regarded as the source of all arcane knowledge. For the ancient Mesopotamians and ancient Egyptians, magic was a way of life. They did not distinguish between rational science and magic. The Egyptians deified magic in the form of the god Heka. The main principle centered on the power of words to bring things into being. We may compare this idea with the magical word abracadabra, which appeared in late Greek writings and was used as an amulet inscription primarily to vanquish illness, and is possibly related to the Gnostic god Abraxas. Though the meaning of the word is uncertain, some have translated it as, "I will create as I speak." This also runs parallel to the creation of the world in Genesis, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Another popular magical word of today is hocus pocus, which may derive from the words hoc est corpus in the Latin Mass, "This is the body," of Christ. For the Egyptians, magic was present in one's birth, life, death, and afterlife. In the afterlife, each individual would undergo a weighing of the heart, where one's heart would be weighed on a scale against a feather. Those who had pure hearts and led a life of virtue would balance the scales. and begin their long and arduous journey to Aru, or the Field of Reeds, paradise in Egyptian mythology. The deceased would face various challenges and obstacles, and magical spells were believed to provide protection and guidance. These can be found in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and are intended to assist a dead person's journey through the underworld.
Hey guys, what if you could own vacation homes all across the world in areas that you love to visit with your friends and family, yet you could still earn passive income and create that long-term wealth that you're after? That's the real power behind lifestyle assets. As my name is Sean Moore, and I'm the CEO and founder of Odyssey, the #1 vacation rental education company in the world. And most of the gurus out there are going to tell you to invest in multifamily properties, apartment buildings, single-family rentals. And while those are all really solid financial investments, are they any fun to own? One of the benefits about lifestyle assets is the personal use aspect. And there's a huge opportunity in the vacation rental space right now if you really know what to look for and what to go after. Have you ever told your wife and kids, hey, grab your bags, let's go visit the duplex for the weekend? It just doesn't happen. But if you own a portfolio of vacation homes in destinations that you want to go visit, that happens all the time. Yet you can still create that passive income and build that long-term wealth that real estate has become so popular as an investment vehicle for. I created Odyssey, guys, to show people exactly how to do just that. The days of just buying a property, throwing it on an Airbnb, and having a management company help you manage it, those days are over. You have to have a real plan if you want to be successful and be able to turn short-term vacation rentals into a solid financial investment. And so what I did is I put together a free training so that you can see exactly how the model works and exactly why we love lifestyle assets. And I'm going to share our unique three-dimensional approach to profitable short-term rental investing. So go check out the training by clicking on the link on this page somewhere. There's nothing for sale in the training. And like I've said over and over, real estate is a phenomenal investment vehicle. There's lots of different lanes that you can run down, and they've all got their pros and cons, including vacation rentals. And in this free training, I'd like to talk about some of those pros and cons with you, and some of the reasons why we feel like short-term rentals are a phenomenal investment vehicle. Again, there's nothing for sale on this training. Click on the link on this page to see if you feel like short-term vacation rentals could be a good fit for your portfolio. I'll see you inside on the training.
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity software where you can manage everything and anything related to your work. Your documents, your chats, your whiteboards, your projects. The value of this, you don't have to buy 5 softwares to do this. You don't have to be hopping back and forth between multiple tabs, trying to find that email from a year ago. Instead, you can find everything in a matter of seconds, keeping your work and everything related to productivity organized in a single place.
Magicians often have ancient tomes called grimoires, or Book of Spells. The Hayat al-Hakim, translated as The Aim of the Sage, also known as the Picatrix, is a 400-page book written around the 10th or 11th century that summarizes all the works on magic and astrology, and draws on Hermetic and Neoplatonic philosophical ideas. In biblical canon, King Solomon is a figure known for his wisdom and piety. However, in the apocryphal works, he's not just associated with wisdom, but also with magic and the occult. In the Testament of Solomon, he has conversations with demons. By means of a magical ring, the Seal of Solomon, he learns to control and command demons to speed up the construction of his temple. The Key of Solomon is a grimoire that describes the necessary preparations for certain magical operations. It provides instructions for the creation and consecration of magical tools, for invoking spirits, often to gain knowledge, power, or assistance in various endeavors, as well as the appropriate materials, astrological time, and magical symbols. Before the invocation, however, one must purify oneself, create a magic circle, and pray for God's protection. Perhaps the most famous fictional grimoire is the Necronomicon, written by the mad Arab Abdul al-Hazred, which appears in the works of horror writer H.P. Lovecraft. The title appeared to him in a dream. Not much is known of its contents, other than a rhyming couplet, "That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons even death may die." Al-Hazred worshipped cosmic entities, known as the Great Old Ones and Outer Gods, before his mysterious death. Lovecraftian characters are entranced by the pursuit of forbidden knowledge, and end up descending into madness or death by the revelation of it. Lovecraft reveals a deep human desire, that we would risk our lives for gaining access to occult knowledge. However, one must beware of unearned wisdom. There are no shortcuts to enlightenment. One of the leading archetypes of our time is the sorcerer's apprentice. This archetype is depicted by Goethe. As a sorcerer departs his workshop, he leaves his apprentice to work on chores. The apprentice gets tired and enchants a broom to do the work for him by infusing it with summoned spirits. Things start to get out of control, and the apprentice does not know how to undo his spell. The sorcerer returns and quickly breaks the spell, dispelling the spirits before they could do more damage. The story concludes with the old sorcerer's statement that only a master should invoke powerful spirits. As Goethe famously states, "The spirits that I summoned, I now cannot rid myself of again." This is Pandora's box, a source of great and unexpected
Okay, sorry guys, I
trouble.
was making coffee and
Once
doing
opened,
dishes.
there's no turning back.
Thank you for the follow,
The
Rolly.
archetype of the sorcerer's apprentice
Welcome in.
portrays the zeitgeist of
What's
the
up,
21st
Array?
century.
You
Nuclear
want fried
energy,
chicken, that does sound good.
genetic engineering, cloning,
What's your
virtual
suggestion?
reality,
Please download open
artificial
source.
intelligence,
Wait, what?
etc. We are
What the fuck
entering
is
a
that?
post-human era, posing new existential challenges to the human condition. We have built a system which we cannot live without, and yet the individual within the system can be done away with. As
I'll
time
probably just
moves
get
on,
YouTube Premium when I get paid,
technological
honestly.
inventions may become extensions and replacements of our muscles, our nervous system, our brain, our eyes and ears, and even our reproductive organs, to such an extent that the boundaries between biology and mechanical contraptions have all but disappeared. Materialistic science, in its effort to gain knowledge about the world of matter and to control it, has engendered a monster that threatens the very survival of human existence. Moreover, the stress and excessive demands of modern life, alienation, and loss of meaning in life and of spiritual values has engendered in many people a consuming need to escape and seek pleasure and oblivion. People are slowly being alienated from their bodies, from each other, and from nature. As we'll see later, the integration of the magician archetype is essential for us to tackle these problems. In
Chill.
his work on English literature in the 16th century,
Okay, I'll look
British
into it.
writer C.S. Lewis highlights how in medieval stories, magic had a fantastical and fairy-like quality, while in the Renaissance, it became tied to the idea of hidden knowledge that could be explored through books and rituals. Scholars immersed themselves
Thanks for
in
the tip, man.
mysterious books, pronouncing terrible words, and souls were endangered. Magic became a potentially dangerous pursuit. The German magician, alchemist, and astrologer Johann Georg Faust appears as the archetypal adept of Renaissance magic in the 15th and 16th centuries, becoming the subject of folk legend after his death. In works of fiction, Dr. Faust appears as a man who grows weary of human knowledge and concludes that only magic is worth learning. He signs a blood pact and sells his soul to the devil in exchange for magical powers for a number of sad years. At the end of the contract, however, he's carried off to hell. Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa's views on magic were revolutionary in this period, and in his 3 books of occult philosophy, he exposed the powers of magic and its relationship with religion, rejecting forbidden forms of sorcery. His work is inspired by the Kabbalistic and Hermetic magic of Marsilio Ficino and Giovanni Pico della Mirandola, where the magician's task is to explore the secrets of nature to reveal the wonder of God's work and to inspire more ardent love of the Creator. The Swiss alchemist and physician Paracelsus combined medicine with magic and led a medical revolution. He introduced elemental beings and viewed the cosmos as interconnected, assigning spiritual significance to natural elements. John Dee was an English mathematician, astronomer, and magician who served as advisor to Queen Elizabeth I. He amassed one of England's biggest libraries, which attracted many scholars. Together with Sir Edward Kelly, an occultist and scryer or crystal gazer, they created the angelical or Enochian language, supposed to have been revealed to them by angels during their mystical interactions. Alchemy found a resurgence in this period as well. According to legend, Nicolas Flamel, a French scribe, had discovered the philosopher's stone and attained immortality. A notable work
Not
is the
blonde
12
anymore,
Keys,
Poison. Sorry.
attributed to
Hi,
Basil
Neo.
Valentine, likely a pseudonym used by one
The
or more
end is
German
kinda
authors,
blonde.
and published by Johann Tulder in 1599. It presents an allegorical description of 12 steps by which the Philosopher's Stone may be created, allowing one to
How
turn
you
base
doing,
metals
guys?
into gold. Mercury, the Roman counterpart of Hermes, is another figure of wholeness who is crucial in alchemy, as he represents the Philosopher's Stone. Jung writes, Mercurius stands at the beginning and end of the work. He is metallic, yet liquid.
What's the good
matter,
news, Neo?
Yet spirit. Cold, yet fiery. Poison, and yet healing draught. A symbol uniting all the opposites. Historians have distinguished between low magic and high magic. Low magic is folk magic, often associated with simple spells, charms, and witchcraft.
Nice, Neo.
It is also
Congrats.
called Goetia, and was seen
Glad
as
you're doing
fraudulent
better.
or deceptive magic, as opposed to high magic or theurgy, which was regarded as divine magic. We may also distinguish between white magic and black magic. White magic is the use of the powers of nature and of the mind for the service of good. It is selfless and virtuous. All white magic must be backed by strong moral character, which results in greater interior enlightenment, a prerequisite for performing heroic services for mankind. The white magician does not identify himself as the holder of magical power, but rather as a conduit for the divine power, which makes this service possible. The end of all wisdom is to understand the deep relationship between the human being and his creator, and this relationship is agape, the highest
Thank you
form
for
of
the
love,
follow. Welcome
which
in.
is selfless and sacrificial,
Nice. I'm
committed
so
to
happy
the
you're okay.
well-being of others. As soon as one enters into moral decay and uses magic for egotistical purposes, it becomes black magic, a source of fear and
But
dread.
so you
The black
IPs
magician
by a
abuses his
take
power
care.
for his own
I've
selfish
listened to
gain
The Alchemist
in
before,
order
but
to
I could
control
use
others
another
or
listen
inflict
through it.
harm on others. Thus,
I missed
when a thing
little
is
bits and
done to
pieces
help
of it.
someone, it is white magic. When it is done for harmful purposes, it is black magic. Jung writes, magic exercises a compulsion that prevails over the conscious mind and will of the victim. An alien will rises up in the bewitched and proves stronger than his ego. The only comparable effect capable of psychological verification is that exerted by unconscious contents, which by their compelling power demonstrate their affinity with or dependence on man's totality. Magician, wizard, and sorcerer are often used as synonyms, though there are subtle differences between them. Generally speaking, a magician refers to anyone who practices magic. A wizard is typically a wise old man that has studied the magical arts over a long period of time, and a sorcerer either has an innate gift of magic or has gained magical power through making pacts with supernatural entities, which is usually associated with witchcraft and voodoo. Enchanters are known for their ability to cast spells, often involving magical objects, charms, and talismans, while necromancers use magic for communicating with the dead and summoning their spirits for the purpose of foretelling future events or discovering hidden knowledge. The mysterious druids in ancient Celtic cultures left no written accounts, though the earliest reference to them date to the 4th century BC. The 1st century BC Greek scholar Alexander Polyhistor referred to the druids as philosophers who were inspired by Pythagoras, the immortality of the soul, and metempsychosis, the transmigration of the soul, especially its reincarnation after death. Mystics and Gnostics engaged in meditation, prayer, and rituals in order to attain gnosis, personal knowledge or direct experience of the divine, to reach oneness with the center that lies deep within by uniting their will with the will of God. Thy will be done. The shaman is widely present in certain Siberian and Native American tribes. He owes his powers to mystical communion with the world of spirits, making him, as Mircea Eliade puts it, a technician of the sacred. The shamanic call involves some kind of illness or psychic crisis. After going through this ordeal and curing himself, the shaman is capable of healing others. If we're able to go through the dark night of the soul, we are illuminated by an inextinguishable spark, the font of all light. All the darkness in the world cannot extinguish
I do,
the light
Neo.
of a single candle. The shaman is not only a medicine man who picks the right herbs and ingredients to make a healing
I'm glad they
concoction
caught the
for
infection
curing
early.
physical illness, but also guards his community from loss of soul. Shamanism can be seen as the oldest system of healing known in the world. Von Franz writes, the roots of both priesthood and psychotherapy lie in the primitive phenomenon of shamanism and the existence of medicine men. Priests often serve as spiritual leaders within their religious ceremonies and are responsible for conducting rituals within their faith tradition, as well as acting as intercessors between the human and the divine. The rites of exorcism, doctrine of transubstantiation, access to holy water and blessed herbs could be conceived
Completely
as
up to you,
magical
man.
practices. The analytical psychologist is like a modern shaman who seeks to heal a patient and teach him or her about the importance of dreams, which are the essential guides in bringing our unconscious contents into consciousness, in order to progress towards the self, the total personality. The self is represented by the sacred symbol of the mandala, a magic circle which is found all over the world. It appears in connection with chaotic states of disorientation and has the purpose of reducing the confusion to order.
I don't know if necessarily religion will stop people from doing what you said she was doing. So I think if you do get back or give her another chance, make sure that there's acknowledgement for the things that were hurting you and it's not just like brushed over with religion, you know?
As it expresses balance and wholeness, patients often emphasize the beneficial or soothing effect of such pictures, as if they possessed a magical significance.
I was talking to someone in Twitch chat array. Oh my god, these fucking ads.
All magic, miracles, and parapsychological happenings seem to have one thing
Yeah,
in common.
I don't know, maybe
namely,
protect
an
your
attitude
peace
of
then, I don't know,
hopeful
man.
expectancy on the part of the participants. This is also known as the archetype
It's
of
your
the
call.
miracle, or the archetype of the magic effect. Many of the founders of the great religion
Show me your
often
belly button.
performed
I
miracles.
will
Jesus would make the
stand
person
up
whom
and
he
my belly
healed
button will
a
exist in all of
participant
its
in the
chubby
healing.
glory for
Your faith
one gifted
has
sub.
healed you. One might say that miracles can only happen in response to a need transcending the ego. For example, in the Bible, Moses strikes water from a rock to quench the thirst of his people. This miracle is not a prideful trick or ego trip from the magician, but rather a compassionate act. There are many cases of people avoiding terrible accidents by hearing a voice out of nowhere. For example, telling one to get off the road, only for there to be a major accident.
That's some
shortly
belly
after,
chub, man.
as if
I
one
just
was
tried to
warned
put
by
on an old
one's
pair of
guardian
yoga pants
angel.
and I could not
We
get them
have no
up, so...
explanation for such events, but they affect us profoundly. The magician is responsible for these seemingly miraculous eruptions into our everyday world of space and time, cause and effect, which Jung calls synchronicity. The magician gives us unexpected glimpses of the transcendent world, offering a numinous experience that temporarily suspends our rational beliefs and our superfluous worries. Psychologically, the magician is the archetype of transformation, transforming old realities into new ones. He is capable of transforming reality by changing consciousness. He is the archetype
Listen,
of
man,
self-realization
they used to
par
fit.
excellence. The magician
Now they
aids us
don't.
in our lifelong task of attaining a higher level
I'm
of
upset.
consciousness and of recognizing that higher power which is greater than ourselves. We are always in a process of transforming ourselves, others, and the
What's up,
objects of the
beast?
world
I'm doing
around
pretty
us.
good. How are you?
For the magician, matter is energy, and energy is matter. As the law of conservation of energy states, energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
Maybe you could
It can
have
only
her
be
in your life,
transformed
but
from
not
one
have like an
form to
exclusive
another.
relationship
The
then?
same might be applied to the eternal and immortal
Because like that's
soul.
the hard part. I don't know.
Often everyday people unknowingly
Relationships
use
are
the basic
complicated.
principles of magic.
Now's a great time to figure that out though. It's Libra Lunar Eclipse energy. It's
And
all
nothing
about
that we-
relationships.
Magic.
Oh, cool. Good to see you. You look healthier and happier though. Fuck those pants. Did you see me back then, Wolfie? I'm talking like, they fit me like 6 years ago. 7 years ago. They're tiny pants. I did post a video of me trying to put them on the things, if anyone cares. But it was pretty funny. I was like, this is not gonna work, bro. They're like the size of one leg. How the fuck? Fuck those pants anyways. I mean, yeah. They're too tight. I can't have too tight pants, man. I got tummy problems. My tummy's gotta breathe. I can't deal with the tight pants.
And turn relentlessly against anything occult.
DNA awakening.
The ancient Egyptians understood that they could use sound to reduce their weight and the gravitation.
Whoa.
Are you feeling that cosmic shift?
Oh, is this an AI voice?
Buckle up, beautiful.
Oh no! I want a real voice. I want a human voice. Should I just start making astrology videos? Should I serenade y'all with my beautiful voice and my astrology mommy woo woo goodness? God, that was a mouthful. It was better in my head. Are you ready? Bro, okay, I'm kind of interested in all these like religious videos.
On the 8th of April 2024, an extraordinary celestial event will take place.
Oh no. Sing us a song? I'll sing a full song at the
solar eclipse. But it's not just any solar eclipse. It is an extremely rare total solar eclipse that's linked to some unsettling predictions for the 2024 elections, with implications for both the US and Israel. And some believe it could even signal the end times.
Stop it!
Down the real meaning
I want off this ride!
What it actually signifies. And trust me, you're not
Stop
going to
with the
miss
bullshit,
the
man!
revelation at the end of this
Stop.
video.
Can y'all just
In various
chill?
parts of the Bible, there are
Can everyone
connections
just
drawn
fucking
between
chill,
end-time
bro?
events and heavenly phenomena. There are many verses mentioning the sun,
here, man.
moon, stars,
kidding, I love
and
it
perhaps
here.
even eclipses
Y'all are
in
just
relation to
crazy.
prophecies about the end times. For instance, in
That guy
Luke
was
chapter
pretty alright,
21,
yeah.
verse 25, Jesus speaks of signs in the sun, moon, and stars when discussing the timing of the
I
end
agree,
times.
Neil.
As a result, when individuals observe uncommon or rare astronomical events, it often leads them to ponder whether the
It's
end
all-
times might be drawing near. To truly understand the meaning behind a sign like a solar or a lunar eclipse, it's important to reflect on history, explore biblical references to similar events, observe the ongoing global happenings, and carefully analyze the circumstances. And by piecing together these elements, we can discern whether there is a genuine
Where did we
warning,
die? That's what I'm
or if
saying.
it's part of a
The
larger
fucking world is
biblical
ending.
prophecy
I'm gonna
unfold.
get stoned.
As Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9 wisely states, what has been will
Some
be
sample
again.
verses.
What has been done will be done
For
again.
one gifted sub,
There
I
is
could be
nothing
convinced to
new
try
under
and
the
sing.
sun.
I'm not in a sing-song
Put
mood though.
simply, it means
I'm in
that
a,
history
like,
tends to repeat itself.
I'm trying to vibe and enjoy the astrological cycles and like improve my life, and then everybody like around me is just like, the world is ending, and I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I don't know, get more solar panels, buy a piece of land, like shake my ass, I don't fucking know. Anyways, I love you,
And
Jesus, please
here's
rapture
where
me
things get shocking.
or keep me
God's
here.
character
Either
remains constant,
sounds kind of badass.
unchanging from yesterday to today and tomorrow. This means that God continues to communicate as he always has and addresses sin and nations as he always did. Throughout history and the Bible, recurring
I did end up
patterns
moving. So I didn't get to move on the piece of land that I was hoping I was going to be able to. So I'm in a cheaper place here, saving money to buy my own piece of land to actualize my dreams. Hopefully next year. I'm building my credit. I'm going to be traveling a bit. I'm praying the world doesn't end between now and then. But it's a common theme. I just want to garden and hang out and create things and dance. War's fucked, man. War's fucked up. Life's crazy. Anyways, thank you. Don't worry, the world won't end. Thank you. I just like literally had like a fucking conversation with my dad where he was like, the world's gonna end, and I'm like, fuck. And then I get on stream, and then like other people are like, the world's gonna end in at least like, you know, tops 5 years, and I'm like, fuck. So that like, I've been raised my whole life to think the world's gonna end, so I'm trying really hard. Like my therapist is like, you should probably like have like a better thinking pattern than always feeling like the world's gonna end. And so, you know, like, and my spiritual beliefs are also like the world could actually get much better depending on how much everyone wants to make that happen. But it's like the two, like the devil on my shoulder and the angel and like the conflicting voices, and I'm just in the middle like, I'm this guy in the middle. This is me. What is happening? What the fuck is happening? Okay, anyways.
Particularly regarding a nation's idolatry and sin, which God
Spirit told you the world wouldn't end?
confronts.
Fuck yeah.
Every significant prophet in the Bible who addressed Israel's idolatry and sin was accompanied by specific signs and warnings indicating what would follow. Reflecting on
nice.
Revelation chapter 6, we encounter the symbolism of the 4 horsemen, depicting God's judgment upon nations. First comes a figure representing conquest or leadership, leading to division and global unrest. Then follows war, stirring up conflict and disrupting peace. Subsequently, famine ensues, bringing economic hardship and agricultural struggles. Finally, death arrives, spreading plague and disease. While these events unfold on a global scale, they also echo recurring patterns seen throughout history in the Bible. These signs often emerge in response to a nation's sins and idolatries, illustrating the cyclical nature.
Will the world end in 2012?
The only thing more difficult than running a business.
For most people, the new year is cause for celebration, but for some, this year is cause for concern. Concern that we've only got a year left on the planet. You've probably heard this, that according to an ancient Mayan prophecy, the world will end in late 2012. So we put our own Dr. Doom, Ron Claiborne.
I'm
Dr. Doom.
Recently, yeah.
Now listen, I don't want to ruin your New Year's Day, but there may not be, friends, there may not be a New Year's Day 2013. May not happen. Archaeologists in Mexico have found a tantalizing artifact that mentions the year 2012, and that discovery is now adding fuel to what for some people was already a burning question: will the world end at the end of this year?
Behold, the end is coming next year. That is, if you believe that kind of thing. Here's another tantalizing piece of evidence.
Psychedelics, no
a brick discovered in the ancient Mayan ruins of Camalcalco that cites the year 2012. That's the exact same year mentioned on a 1,300-year-old tablet previously found among the nearby ruins of Tortuguero, with this intriguing inscription.
It's basically saying that the deity Bolon Yokte Ku appears on December 21st of 2012, and he descends and he performs a ritual.
Which has led some people to say these signs point to December 21st, 2012, or maybe the 23rd, as Doomsday. In the movie 2012, that fateful day begins with California plunging into the sea, and then things really get bad.
Look at me, do I look scared?
We have, of course, been here before. There was Y2K at the end of the last century, and the California prophet of doom who predicted the biblical end of days earlier this year.
It's almost like we're out there looking for evidence
maybe
of
at
a
some
looming
point.
apocalypse, and I think that also ties into a lot of uncertainty that exists in our world today.
Skeptics say the Mayan inscriptions actually say nothing about doomsday.
There's no real prophecy that says that this is going to be the end of the world, not from the Maya ruins anyways.
I can think of a lot of reasons to cash out and run away with your family these days to a desert island, but this Mayan prophecy isn't one of them.
Are they like amanitas, or are they like psilocybin?
And of course, for every sign that doomsday believers cite, skeptics come up with a rational rebuttal, and they can point out to the indisputable fact that all of the previous prognostications of doom didn't exactly work out. After all, we are still here. But I suppose the only way we'll really know whether the world ends in December of 2012 is to wait until December 2012. By the way, the 21st, which some people think is the last day on Earth, is a Friday. So if nothing else, you get that weekend off.
Hi, Kevin.
And forever.
That's right.
Look it on the bright side. Thank you, Ron. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, Dan.
The apocalypse.
Should we just start doing doomsday prepping streams? Survival guide to the biblical apocalypse. That's exactly what we need, guys. That's exactly what we fucking need right now.
The end of the world. It's a gloomy subject that many world religions have.
I've gone through hell and back with my father. I love him. He's a big doomsdayer. But I hope he doesn't mind that I'm gonna start memeing him for content. I love you, Dad. I love you, Dad. But you raised me. You raised me this way. Now, I stream on twitch.tv and we're gonna doomsday prep with the chat. Survival guide to the biblical apocalypse. We're ready.
In Christianity,
Doomsday
the last book
prepping
of the
stream.
Bible, the Book of Revelation, contains a frightening vision of
I got my solar
cataclysmic
panel.
events, demonic horsemen, and even a few multi-eyed,
Just you wait.
Bible-accurate angels for good measure.
Just you wait, boys.
This book is without doubt the strangest and most disturbing book in the whole Bible. So, naturally, it's a topic I had to cover on this channel. You may have heard of the Book of Revelation, but may not be so familiar with what actually happens in the book. For example, where does the number 666
I got a life straw, but
fit
I
into all
ordered
of
it to the wrong
If you're looking
state.
to learn more about the biblical apocalypse, well, you're in the right place. I've crafted together this handy introductory video. You never know when you might need it. Before we
Facts says
start, it's
mushroom
worth
life.
noting that I'm going to
If you
examine
can,
the
send
Book
me
of
pictures on
Revelation
Discord.
from a secular, non-religious perspective. The book is highly symbolic and probably not meant to be taken literally. So, at occasional moments throughout the video, I'll explain what some of the symbolism may mean, using the interpretations of biblical scholars. Disclaimer out the way, bring on the apocalypse. The word apocalypse itself comes from the Greek, and it literally means to uncover something. That's actually why it's called the Book of Revelation. It's all to do with something being revealed. In this case, the end of the world. There's a rich history of these apocalypses in the Old Testament, but they don't necessarily have anything to do with the end times. Sometimes they're just these startling visions of the otherworldly, like a glimpse of God's throne in the book of Ezekiel, or a dream featuring 4 strange beasts in the book of Daniel. The book of Revelation is from the perspective of a guy called John. We don't know much about this character. It's not the same John who baptized people in the Jordan, nor is it the same person who wrote the 4th Gospel. No, this is an entirely different John. It turns out that there's a lot of people called John in the Bible. In fact, some scholars believe that this particular John might not have existed at all. Like most books in the Bible, the Book of Revelation was written and edited by anonymous authors, and so John may have been a pseudonym. Scholars say that the oldest part of the book was probably written around 65 CE during the reign of Emperor Nero, and may have reached its final form at around 95 CE during the reign of Emperor Domitian. Both of these emperors, particularly the first one, Emperor Nero, were known for their brutal persecutions of early Christians. A significant detail in order to understand the worldview behind the Book of Revelation. It was written in a frightening time for these first Christians, and their anxieties were captured on the pages, containing a frightening collection of visions about the end of the world. Let's turn to the contents of the vision itself.
I did some Amanita gummies when I was in Miami. They had like little Amanita gummies at the smoke shop, and on the package they actually had the source. And it said that the Amanitas were grown in Wisconsin, so it was pretty cool. I didn't like trip or anything. I kind of microdosed them. It's just a little bit more like flowy, like vibing, like nothing too crazy. But they seemed very legit. Like they had the source and everything, and like the farm they were grown on. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Supposedly elephant shrooms are even stronger. Interesting. I wonder if there's like... I wonder if it's a different species that grows on the different poop. Or if like the same species grown on different poop affects the potency of the strain. We gotta do some science to figure this out, guys.
Your video Sunlink. Go to artlist.io and get the best music and sound effects for your video.
We start off in the idyllic Greek island of Patmos, where our main character John has been exiled. Behind him, he suddenly hears a booming voice calling his
Yikes, I'll
name.
stick to
He
eating
turns
coffee.
around, only to see a spectral figure bathed in bright light, surrounded by 7 golden lampstands. This unnamed person, who some believe to be Jesus himself, has a very strange appearance. He is enrobed in white, with eyes like fire, and protruding from his mouth is a sharp, 2-edged sword. Yes, this description is in the text, and trust me, it's not the strangest we've yet to see. This strange figure tells John to write to the 7 churches dotted across the Mediterranean, to give them a heads up about what's about to go down. Once he does so, John is immediately whisked up into heaven. From there, John gives a spectacular account of everything he sees. In front of him is a giant throne, with 24 smaller thrones surrounding it. The central throne is so bright, glistening like many precious stones, that he can't actually make out the figure sitting on it, but we can safely assume that it's meant to be God himself. But his attention is quickly drawn to 4 strange, multi-eyed beasts that are floating around near the throne. Although the Bible calls them simply living creatures, you may already be familiar with them as Bible-accurate angels, good friends of the channel at this point. Here's a description he gives of them. Around the throne, and on each side of the throne, are 4 living creatures, full of eyes in front and behind. The first living creature is like a lion, the second living creature is like an ox, the third living creature with a face like a human face, and the fourth living creature like a flying eagle. All 4 living creatures, each of them with 6 wings, are full of eyes all around and inside. Day and night without ceasing they sing, Holy, 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 the Lord God.
They're very cool. I need to make a little video for Instagram or something of me using them.
A very strange description indeed. A wing
Bioengineered mucimol? Is that what it says is in it? Does anyone know what that is? It's a potent selective orthosteric agonist for the GABA receptor and displays sedative, hypnotic, depressant, and hallucinogenic activity. So is it not psilocybin? It's something else? Okay, wait, no, it says it's, is one of the principal psychoactive constituents of Amanita muscaria and related species of mushrooms. So, yeah, it's like, it's Amanita, essentially. Oh, no, well, no, it's not Amanita, it's engineered Amanita. It's engineered mucimol, which is kind of like Amanita. They're trying to replicate Amanita, essentially. Interesting. Okay. But yeah, affects euphoria, dreamlike, lucid state of mind. You probably won't get visuals. Out of body. Oh, well, you might actually. Out of body experiences and synesthesia. I did a bunch of Amanitas in one sitting, and I didn't really get much of a visual effect. I don't always get visuals on mushrooms, though, but Amanita's not as visual as psilocybin, is what I've heard. It says, in large dose, strong dissociation or delirium might be felt. I'd take a small amount to start to see how it makes you feel, for sure. Interesting. I wonder why it's bioengineered. I wonder if that's a legal loophole. I don't know. Is Amanita illegal in most places? Oh, it's legal in most states, with few exceptions mentioned below. In Louisiana, except for ornamental purposes, so you can't consume them, but you can use them for decorative things. Growing, selling, or possessing Amanita is prohibited. Louisiana State Act. That's dumb. Amanita is not included in the list of prohibited substance. Interesting. Okay. You've never had anything like it before? Definitely start small. I would say start small with it. Especially you're like recovering from an injury. I would be very careful about mixing it with anything they might have medicated you with at the hospital. Be very cautious about that and do research into it. I don't think it would like hurt you, but also I don't think I've ever done bioengineered mucimol. I've only done the real thing, and I didn't mix it with anything. I think actually the one time that I did the larger dose of Amanita, I mixed it with a little bit of psilocybin.
Winged lion, ox, humanoid, and eagle, covered in eyes from head to toe, and singing praises to God eternally.
Did my tummy get sick? I just drank the deer piss. I don't think my tummy got sick from the Amanita, no. I felt very good on the Amanita, actually. I had like a tea, and then I had some of the dried one, but it was pretty good. Reishi and lion's mane and cordyceps are great. Yeah, I'm actually drinking my coffee right now. Has medicinal mushrooms like lion's mane and reishi. Thank you, Array. Haven't tripped in years and this stuff is all new to you. Yeah, it's very interesting. Mycology is super interesting.
On Bible-accurate angels, and you may be familiar with these creatures in the book of Ezekiel in the Old Testament. They feature in a magnificent vision the Hebrew prophet gives of God's heavenly throne. In that video, I suggested that they likely developed from the Mesopotamian cherubim, known as Lamassu. Sadly, however, there are none of those wheels with eyes, known as Ophanim, to be found in this account. Not much else is said about these four eldritch hybrids other than this, although some have interpreted their multi-eyes as a symbol of God's all-seeing nature. Others see it to be deliberately creepy. Now, I don't know about you, but I certainly see why they think this. After his description of the four living creatures, next before John comes another strange beast. It is described as looking like a lamb, although it has 7 horns and 7 eyes, because of course it does. It also looks like it's been slain. Because of this, many associate this being with Jesus, who is sometimes called the Lamb of God. Whatever it is, the lamb creature holds in its hooves a large scroll with 7 wax seals. With this, the apocalypse is truly underway. When the first seal is broken, out comes a man on a white horse, wielding a bow and wearing a crown. This is the embodiment of conquest, the first of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Seal 2 is broken, and out comes a horseman astride a red horse, holding a large sword. This is the horseman of war, kinda similar to conquest in my opinion, but whatever. Seal 3 is broken, and out comes a rider on a black horse, holding weighing scales. This is the horseman of famine. Finally, the 4th seal is broken, and out comes a rider on a pale horse, the embodiment of death itself. With 4 of the 7 seals broken, the lamb creature hands the 4 horsemen a quarter of the Earth's population to destroy, either through violence, famine, pestilence, or death. Okay, so there are 3 seals left, and 3 unpleasant events left to transpire. Luckily, seal 5 is a bit of a dud. Nothing really happens other than the souls of the martyrs are given nice white robes, and told to wait around a bit for the final judgment. But when Seal 6 is open, things get really nasty for people on Earth. No sooner than the seal is broken and there is a giant earthquake, an earthquake so large that, quote, every mountain and island was removed from its place. If we take this literally, this kind of earthquake would far surpass the magnitudes of the biggest recorded earthquakes, like the 1960 Valdiva earthquake in Chile that measured 9.5 on the Richter scale. Such a large earthquake would be particularly bad news for anyone living on tectonic fault lines. As well as a cataclysmic earthquake, the sixth seal would also make the sky turn black. Were it to happen, perpetual darkness would be devastating for Earth, especially for plant life, which requires sunlight to perform photosynthesis. Interestingly, such events have actually happened before, and are often caused by major volcanic eruptions. In 536 CE, during a period in European history, aptly known as the Dark Ages, a giant volcanic eruption, believed to be from Indonesia, triggered what is known as a volcanic winter. This is when vast quantities of
wait
volcanic
until
ash
you're
enter
in
the atmosphere,
like a
dimming the
cozy
sunlight and causing
setting,
rapid
NAO,
cooling.
for sure.
Writing from Constantinople
To
in
try it for the first
536,
time.
Byzantine historian Procopius wrote that, quote, during this year, a most dreaded portent took place, for the sun gave forth its light without brightness, and it seemed exceedingly like the sun in eclipse, for the beams it shed were not clear. Other contemporary writers as far away as Ireland have attested to the same extreme weather, indicating that this phenomenon may have been widespread at the time, and that the Earth was indeed in a volcanic winter. If giant earthquakes and volcanic winters were not enough, the sixth seal also describes how, quote, the stars of the sky fell to Earth. Now, if an actual star collided with the Earth, then that'd really be game over, as Earth would be engulfed into a much larger ball of flame and plasma. It is more likely, therefore, that the author is referring to a meteor shower. Often these are quite harmless. Earth orbits
I
through
agree
many
with
space
what
rocks
Array
every
said.
day, resulting in beautiful shooting stars. Things get dangerous, however, when the
Amanitas aren't as intense as psilocybin, though, so I would say that more so for psilocybin, but yeah, like, especially if it's like euphoric, maybe you want someone you can hug, or like a nice animal, or cozy
These
spot,
rocks are big
some
enough
plushies,
to not fully burn up
good
in
music.
the atmosphere. One such occasion was the Tunguska event in
Good
1908,
food.
where a meteoroid of an estimated 100
drinks, lots
meters
of water.
landed in eastern Siberia, flattening the surrounding forest of up to 2,100 square kilometers. That's 830
I know
square
some
miles.
people who have gotten
Being in
munchies on
Siberia,
shrooms.
the
I get
land was
munchies on
sparsely
shrooms sometimes
populated,
too.
so only 3 people were believed to have been killed. Had this landed on a city in 1908, then it would have been truly catastrophic. Seal 6 is pretty brutal. Mega earthquakes, perpetual darkness, and meteorite impacts. But there is one more seal left, the 7th seal. Fortunately, just like Seal 5, Seal 7 doesn't bring too much calamity. The book simply says, quote, there was a silence in heaven for about half an hour. Perhaps the multi-eyed living creatures from earlier can finally get a break from singing God's praises.
So the fun thing with the serpent is, how does a serpent talk? And not only that, but why is the serpent's punishment to crawl on its belly when that's what it does?
You would have thought that the 7 seals were enough to end Earth. More bad things are on the way. Almost as soon as the 7th seal is opened, out come 7 angels holding 7 trumpets. Now, you've probably noticed that the number 7 appears quite a bit in the book of Revelation. 7 golden lampstands, 7 seals, now 7 trumpets. The number 7 is a significant one throughout the Bible. For example, in the book of Genesis, it reportedly took 7 days to create the universe. In the ancient world, this number 7 was often regarded as the number of completion. The idea that the number 7 was a special number carried on into later Christian tradition, where you also get the 7 deadly sins, which, by the way, is another topic I've covered on the channel. Forget what you've seen about cute angels with sweet little trumpets. These 7 trumpets are about to destroy the earth. It's about to get dark, and in the case of trumpet 4, quite literally. Let's quickly rattle off what each trumpet does. Trumpet 1 causes fire and hail to rain down on the earth. Wildfires soon rage on the planet, and a third of Earth's vegetation gets burnt up. Trumpet 2 sounds, and a great mountain-sized object falls into the sea, turning a third of the oceans into blood. It also kills a third of the innocent sea creatures, which is pretty sad. Trumpet 3 plays, and a star falls from heaven and lands onto the Earth's rivers. The star is even given a name, wormwood. This is actually a type of semi-poisonous herb, also known as mugwort. which makes sense in the Book of Revelation, because wormwood contaminates all the world's fresh water supplies, making it bitter and toxic. Trumpet 4 toots, and the third of the sun goes out, shrouding the planet in darkness. We seem to have already had this one already, back in the 6th seal. This discrepancy has led some scholars to suggest that a different author is writing here, perhaps unaware of the previous destruction wrought by the 7 seals. Trumpet 5, in my opinion, is the strangest of them all. An angel descends to earth with a big key. The key opens a large trapdoor to a bottomless pit, and out of the pit comes a thick black smoke that eclipses whatever sunlight was left. Then, out of the dense fumes emerge giant locusts that swarm and cause plagues all over the earth. Now, these aren't just any giant locusts, they are Book of Revelation giant locusts, and so they're given a very disturbing description. Here goes. They have human faces and long flowing hair, they wear armour and have little crowns on their head. Oh, also, they have lion's teeth and giant scorpion stingers. Because, again, why not? These creatures are given the instruction to sting people, but not enough to kill them. In fact, it says that people will be unable to die during this time, no matter how much they might wish to. This is absolute nightmare fuel, but there are still 2 trumpets to go. Trumpet 6 is sounded, and 4 angels are released to kill a third of humankind, all of whom help to exterminate a third of humans' population. The final trumpet, Trumpet 7, doesn't cause any destruction. Instead, there's a little hymn for those in heaven, and a few flashes of lightning here and there, but no major destruction on Earth. At this point, I'd imagine that the world is practically unlivable. I'm starting to think that calling this video a survival guide might seem a bit pointless. The water has turned into blood, things are on fire, there's no sunlight anymore, and there are giant manticore-looking locusts stinging people. The Book of Revelation has really gone to town in painting the most disastrous picture possible. Believe it or not, there are still yet more troubles to come, but in the form of 3 giant monsters. Up first is a giant red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. So 2 of the 7 heads have 2 horns each. The tail of the dragon is so large that when it sweeps, it apparently casts a third of the stars down. We find out that the red dragon is Satan himself, who is suddenly attacked and defeated by the archangel Michael. Dragon Satan gets booted out of heaven and thrown down to earth, and the land swallows him up. After this strange little episode comes the main attraction, the 2 so-called beasts. The first beast comes out from the sea. This first beast has the shape of a leopard. It's got feet like a bear and a mouth like a lion. It's got multiple heads, and no surprises that there are 7 of them. Like the dragon, it's got 10 horns, with a diadem on each of those horns. One of the heads, however, looks to be wounded. Once coming up from the sea, this beast goes around bad-mouthing God and saying all kinds of blasphemies. The survivors on Earth, and yes, apparently there are survivors, all start to worship this monster. Then, suddenly, the Earth opens up and another strange beast comes out from the ground. Compared with the first beast, the description is lacking a bit. All we get is that it has 2 horns like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon, and that's really it. This beast goes around telling the inhabitants of Earth how great beast number 1 is, and performs a bunch of magic tricks to prove it's legit. The character is later known as the False Prophet, although you may be familiar with the name used for it in other Christian texts, the Antichrist, literally meaning the anti-Messiah. So, should you choose to believe in this monster,
he's talking on
bad news
Kick,
for you.
Neo.
This beast goes around and writes a specific number on the foreheads of idolaters, the famous mark of the beast, the number 666. What is significant about this number, 666? Well, many biblical scholars have suggested that it's a code for the tyrannical Emperor Nero. You see, in the classical
No,
world,
you're
there
good,
was this
Array.
practice of
You're all good,
assigning
bro.
letters to numbers.
Neo was just
It's known as
confused
gematria.
why he couldn't see
Hebrew
you in
letters
Twitch.
have this system too, and if you spell out Emperor Nero in Hebrew, they add up to the number 666. Some of the oldest versions of the Book of Revelation, like this papyrus manuscript found at Oxyrhynchus in Egypt, have the number 616. Gematria still works here, just for a different spelling of Nero's name. Interestingly, the Book of Revelation says that in order to buy and sell things, you need to show the mark of the beast. As with today's currencies, Roman coins often featured the head of state, in this case the emperor. So, in order to barter and trade, you need to show the mark of the beast, i.e. the Emperor Nero's face on coinage. This interpretation is further supported by the Greek word for mark, as in mark of the beast, which is charagma, and it's most commonly used to refer to the imprinting of coins. What's the Emperor Nero got to do with the beast? Well, Emperor Nero, who ruled from 54 to 68 CE, was responsible for a number of infamous Christian persecutions. Early Christians refused to worship the emperor, who, in the imperial cult, was a divine figure. Instead, they held that their exclusive belief was in God, the God of Israel. This enraged many a Roman emperor, especially Nero, who attempted to persecute them out of existence. He even blamed the Great Fire of Rome on the Christians, and contemporary writers wrote harrowing accounts of all the suffering this emperor inflicted, such as throwing Christians to lions. As a result, Nero especially became a symbol of evil. So, when the book of Revelation is talking about people worshipping the beast, it refers to the practice of worshipping the emperor. All this is done in code. Those who bear the mark 666, in other words Nero, will be condemned to suffer for all eternity. Whilst the earth is under the dominion of these strange beasts, / Roman emperors, up in heaven the angels are preparing the final phase of destruction. We've had 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and now we've got 7 bowls. These bowls are said to be full of God's wrath, whatever that entails. Either way, the bowls work in a similar way to the seals and trumpets. When they're poured onto the earth, bad things happen. Here we go again, final one this time. Bowl 1 is poured onto the earth and painful sores and boils form on all the people who wear the mark of the beast on their forehead. Bowl 2 causes the whole sea now to turn into blood, no longer just a third of it. Bowl 3 causes all the fresh water, the lakes and the rivers, to turn to blood. Yep, lots of blood in this passage. Bowl 4 causes the sun's heat to intensify, scorching people on earth badly. Bowl 5 causes the kingdom of the beast to go dark, and political instability ensues. Some have seen this as a reference to the fall of the Roman Empire. Bowl 6 causes the river Euphrates, that's in modern-day Iraq, to dry up. Later, the world's armies all assemble and do battle at a place known as Armageddon. Fun fact, the Hebrew word for Armageddon is Har Megiddo, referring to Mount Megiddo in northern Israel. Over time, Har Megiddo shifted to Armageddon, and because of the book of Revelation, it became another name for the apocalypse. Bowl 7 is your classic book of Revelation business. Lightning, hailstones, and a massive earthquake which destroys the city of Babylon. However, where Babylon was the great city of evil in the Old Testament, by the time of the New Testament being written, the city of Babylon had long been deserted, having been conquered by the Persians some 500 years before. So instead, many believe that Babylon is a reference to the capital city of the empire, Rome. Again, it's another example of the book of Revelation speaking in code.
Starting my business, I put out a veneer for the world, what I wanted them to see, and yet behind it there was this duck paddling under the water as fast as it possibly could with a calm outer vision.
Finance leaders like Pauline stay calm above and below the surface with Sage tools and insights. Sage, helping business flow.
Listen, there's a good chance somebody's trying to hack your website right now. You gotta make sure you're covered. I'm talking about enterprise-grade security built into your site and fully managed for you. Check this out. First up, prevention. The Wix platform is secure by design. Security experts are in the dev process, performing threat modeling, penetration tests, and designing code reviews. And you get a strong encryption for your data in transit and data at rest. E-com sites? Wix is compliant with the highest level of PCI DSS. And it doesn't stop there. The top international privacy and security regulations, they're all in place. You see, it's all about staying ahead of the game with real-time detection. Wix security never sleeps. Never. 24/7, 365. The Security Operations Center is on a mission to monitor and hunt down threats. Plus, anti-DDoS protection, data analysis, machine learning. And let's not forget, the #1 rule in cybersecurity is nobody is 100% unhackable. That's why Wix goes all out with a bug bounty program for independent security researchers, aka ethical hackers. And that's not all. It's time for response. Even in the unlikely event of an extreme situation, your business stays up and running. The IR team gets it done. They're trained to act fast, and there's a BCP for reliable continuation and smooth recovery. So look, you take care of business. Security's on Wix.
After a third and final round of devastation, which seems to me a tad excessive, the vision in the Book of Revelations begins to near its end. In fact, the whole thing wraps up pretty quickly. Without much of a struggle, the first and second beast are captured by the armies of God and are kicked into, quote, a lake of fire that burns with sulphur, which is probably a reference to hell. Then the giant multi-headed dragon, which is Satan, is locked up in the pit too and is sealed for 1,000 years. In this intermission, Jesus comes down to rule the earth until things pick up again. Well, time flies. 1,000 years pass and Satan is released. It's now time for the epic final showdown of biblical proportions. However, the series finale of the Bible is a bit anticlimactic. All that happens is a shoot of fire zips down from heaven and engulfs the evil army. Satan and all his monsters are cast into the lake of fire and sulphur to join the beasts, and his evil influence finally comes to an end. The Book of Revelation draws to a close, and we get the Bible's happy ending. A vision of something called the New Jerusalem. It's a description of a wondrous new city made of solid gold. Our protagonist John goes to great lengths to describe its dimensions, and it turns out that the New Jerusalem is one giant cube. Its length, width and height are 12,000 stadia, which is 2,220 kilometers. That's 1,380 miles. In this city, God, Jesus, all the do-gooders, and all the multi-eyed creatures live in perpetual harmony. It is this vision of a strange sci-fi construction that the Book of Revelation closes with, and with it, the entire Bible comes to an end. So, without a doubt, the Book of Revelation is the strangest book in the Bible, finishing it off in a maelstrom of fire, earthquakes, eldritch creatures, chaos and calamity. If such an event were to take place, it looks to be a pretty unpleasant affair. In such a complex and intricate book of the Bible, I haven't managed to explore everything this strange book has to offer, just the main story beats. If you'd like me to cover any aspects that have interested you in this video, do write them down in the comments below. A theme across this book, and many other New Testament texts, is that Jesus will return and bring with him the second coming and a fiery cataclysm. The very first communities of Christians believed such an event would happen in their lifetime, but when it never came to pass, the hope was transferred to generations after them, and so on until the present day. Throughout history, theologians and everyday folk have attempted to figure out when the apocalypse will happen, and whether there'll be any warning signs that hint that it's on its way. Often, as in always, they get it spectacularly wrong, and occasionally embarrass themselves in the process. Just like Pope Sylvester feared that the year 1000 would mark the end of the world, some worried that the year 2000 would too, in fear of the Y2K, where computers would cease to function, causing a global technological meltdown. More recently, 2012 was seen as a good year for the apocalypse. Misplaced fears about the Mayan calendar led some to believe that the Earth was on a collision course with the fictitious planet Nibiru. Just as the Mayan calendar continued, the Gregorian calendar continued, and we're still here today. To my mind, I doubt that anyone can ever predict when the end of the world is going to happen. So, for now, we can relax. People have got it wrong in the past, so let's hope they'll continue to get it wrong in the future. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Really hope you enjoyed this one. It was an absolute blast to make. If you like this kind of stuff, especially this longer form video, why not subscribe? A like and a comment also go a really long way. After a bit of pause in uploads to finish off my university dissertation, I'm glad to say that I've graduated. Thank you all for your patience. More videos to come, I promise. I have plenty of videos that I've been itching to make anyway. I look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.
Her personality's
She's ahead of her time.
She's like anti-mainstream.
I love the Inazuman touch.
Her designs are too flamboyant.
I think they look great.
No, it's more than that. I don't chase trends. I follow my intuition. And my aesthetics follow their own rules. Shiori, that was a little blunt. What if it upsets your customers? Stay true to my dreams. Channel my defiance into my art. Don't let anyone tell me what I can or can't do. Well, maybe they're the ones who need to change. I am the cutting edge of fashion. Nadia, model this for me. You got it.
Now, last but not least, smile for the camera.
My work brings in the customers, not my smile.
But you've got such a pretty smile.
Few philosophers have more obviously changed the world than Hegel.
Yeah, but of course, here I'm a Hegelian, you know.
Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel has good claim on being the most influential philosopher of all time. He's a philosopher of change, of progress, of history, of how our consciousness itself has changed over time, and more than anything, he's a philosopher of freedom. Every philosopher that came after him has drawn on or responded to him in some way, but more than this, the Cold War, communist regimes, liberal interventionism, conservative politics are all marked by the fingerprints of Hegel's bold ideas.
To know Hegel is to know us, to know yourself, and as we'll see, to really know, a word we'll come to interrogate, is a world-spanning, soul-penetrating, painful, joyous and fulfilling journey that will change the way you think.
His most well-known work, 1807's The Phenomenology of Spirit, is a modern epic, a heroic story, a heavenly ladder to, well, absolute freedom and absolute knowledge. It's an education that spans the ages, a roadmap to the history of human thought, a story about how to become a philosopher, and a humble claim to know the mind of God and the universe too.
He summed up much of what was happening in the opening chapters of the modern age, what it means to be rational, to be empirical, to be romantic, to be emotional, to be modern and religious, to be heroic and to do one's duty all at the same time. He wanted to unite the individual with the universal.
He's dense, impenetrable, infuriating. Some say just a plain bad writer, some idealise him, others despise him, but to journey with him, as one commentator has said, to take on the task is the most serious thing you can do in your life.
I want to show you, while avoiding complex language as much as possible, how Hegel can change how you think, can help you see the personal in the historical, and the biggest movement in the smallest of actions.
Fellow travellers will be ancient Stoics, medieval Christians, modern scientists, unhappy souls and beautiful ones, romantic idealists, Napoleon himself, the reasonable thinker, the servant and the master.
And we'll do it all by starting from a single simple thought, your simple thought, and developing it into an entire universe.
This is also the story of a man lost on the moors, searching for civilization on a journey to find the meaning of human history. By the end of the 18th century, the Enlightenment had swung wildly between rationalism and empiricism, between atheism, religion and deism, between reason and emotion, individualism and communalism, culminating in a violent attempt to put philosophy itself into practice, the French Revolution. For many thinkers of the period, Immanuel Kant had provided the best answers about many of the controversies of the time.
He argued that we could reason about the world, we could think logically, but only about what was in front of us, only about what we could perceive, see, smell, hear, touch with our senses.
Beyond that, Kant says, on the big questions about the beginnings of the universe or knowledge of God, speculation is folly. In a sense, Kant puts up a wall. We know what we see, we know what we smell and hear and perceive, and we could think logically about things like mathematics, but we cannot go beyond that.
In fact, Kant says, we use our innate reason to construct a representation of the world around us. We bring our minds to bear on an object and we recognise it by its properties. A leaf is a concept we have made up of greenness, leafiness, softness, borne by trees. Through our reason, counting, judging, analysing its composite parts, we make our idea of a leaf.
Laying all this out and making that case was very bold and new for the religiously infused societies of Europe at the time. We do this with everything, and I mean everything. It goes on behind the scenes, but Kant said we only have limited senses, a limited ability to perceive certain spectrums of light and sound, certain smells, certain sensitivities to the touch. Other animals have other limited senses, but we are all subjective, finite, limited creatures. We cannot really know what Kant called the thing in itself. We're like worms hitting into rocks. Literally.
Definitely talk with your doctor, because lion's mane is perfectly legal, so I would say they would probably know best. Hopefully they're like studied and researched about it. Yeah, I can't really say because I'm not a psychiatrist and I don't know what meds you're on, but it's like a over-the-counter thing, and you can like do your own research with it. I think it would be fine, but definitely do your own research. I know, like, with things like SSRIs, you're not supposed to mix those really with MDMA or psilocybin, but lion's mane's a little bit different. I know that when I was researching for my uncle, with certain cancer treatments, like chemo, they actually recommend pairing it with medicinal mushrooms, like turkey tail, I'm pretty sure. So... yeah, it's worth looking into for sure. Like, I have it just in my coffee. It comes in a little packet. Later, RA. Don't want to upset the DMT elves too much. Should probably go. Oh my gosh.
How different a worm's idea of the rock is than ours.
What evidence do we really have to assume that our perception of the rock is any truer than the worms? To some ultra-intelligent species, we could be that worm. In short, for Kant, our experience is our experience.
It's the worm moon, guys. Worm.
A perspective.
This means we can have truth, but not absolute truth. And this is where Hegel begins and what he rejects. The idea that we cannot access the world in itself, Ding an sich, in the original German, the thing in itself. Hegel found this to be counterintuitive. Why do we feel like our knowledge of the world is true? Mistaken sometimes, faulty, difficult, hard-earned, but potentially, at least, true. We do feel like, as moderns, we're progressively painting a more thorough, nuanced and accurate picture of the world. We know more about the worm and its senses, the rock it's perceiving, the bird that eats it, its digestive system, how it flies, whether it's healthy for us to eat it or not, how to track it with technology we've built, and on and on and on. We seem to be able to expand our knowledge outwards, maybe infinitely. And it's this on and on and on, this infinity, that Hegel's interested in. As a romantic in his younger years and being friends with many in the Romantic movement in Germany, he believed that we weren't just mechanical, separate things like cogs, but that we were part of the universe and the natural world, that we are nature reflecting on nature itself. We're part of it all. This means that there cannot be a separation between us and the world, between subject and object, between our reason and Kant's thing in itself, because we're a part of it, a continuation of it. We're formed, like clay, from it. The 17th century philosopher Baruch Spinoza was a big influence here, because he also said that we're all made out of the same stuff, the same substance. Hegel said,
"When one begins to philosophize, one must first be a Spinozist. The soul must bathe itself in the ether of this single substance, in which everything one has held dear is submerged."
The job of the philosopher then is to work out the relationship between the substance of the universe, the universal, that which goes on and on and on, and the individual, particular finiteness of little old us. The philosopher Friedrich Beser writes, Hegel affirms what Kant denies, that it's possible to have a knowledge through pure reason of the absolute or the unconditioned. Let's pause for a minute and think about that absolute or unconditioned. Spinoza was scientifically minded. The universe is deterministic. Causes lead to effects, which lead to more causes, which lead to more effects. The seed grows into a tree. The sound wave hits the eardrum. The wind blows the leaves. Everything is conditioned by something else. To understand the worm, you have to understand its relationship to the soil, the wider moorland, the bird that eats it, the bird's history, where it migrates, the physics of flight, the biology of breathing. To have absolute knowledge, we want to know those wider causes, more detailed knowledge, the contexts, the relationships. Now, if we go one way down the line of dominoes, we get to the first causes. Geology, chemistry, the Big Bang, beginnings of the universe, questions about God, the absolute. We follow the finite to the infinite. The absolute is a net that's cast as wide as possible. For Spinoza, the absolute and God and nature were essentially synonyms. They meant the same thing. It wasn't that God was out there, transcendent, separate from the universe. God was immanent, revealed, part of every atom and every thought, because all is conditioned by the absolute first cause. This is why Schelling defined the absolute as that whose existence is not determined through some other thing. It's the ultimate answer to the ultimate question. But remember, Kant says, no, stop. Why are you talking about God and metaphysics and absolute answers? Philosophy needs to stick to what's directly in front of its senses. Only then can a true science be built up. Now, Hegel disagreed. In fact, he said Kant was scared, petrified of the thing in itself,
of going beyond his own nose. Kant, he said, builds a fence, a, quote, boundary between cognition and the absolute, because, he says, he fears it. Hegel sees Kant and Spinoza as two ends of the same problem. If for Spinoza we're all part of one substance, we all came out of a first cause, or to our mind a big bang. If we're marbles being knocked about by our desires, hungers, physics, biology, then how is it that we seem, in our heads, in our minds, to be free, to be separate from all of that? On the other hand, if, as Kant argued, we're free because we're separate from that world out there, that thing in itself, the phenomenal world, if there's a dividing line, like Descartes said, between mind and body and the rest of matter, then how is it that we interact with the world at all? What's the relationship between the in here and the out there? Beza writes, since freedom involves choice, the power to do otherwise, and since everything in nature is determined such that it's necessary and cannot be otherwise, freedom is possible only if it's taken outside the sphere of nature entirely, and placed in an intellectual or noumenal realm. That's what Kant called that separate sphere that we seem to have, the noumenal realm. But this cannot be separate from this, cut off like a guillotine. It's part of us. We're part of this. We do stuff. Stuff's done to us in the world. The Hegelian question about the subject and the substance, how do we get from one to the other? How does one become the other? The Romantics had this idea too. We're all one, but modern life neglects this. It alienates us from nature, from ourselves, from different parts of ourselves, and from each other. The right question should be, how do we adequately formulate what this means? If we're part of nature, what's special about humans? What does freedom mean at all? Alternatively, if we are free, if we're separate from the cause and effect of the rest of the universe, separate from nature, what does this mean? Beza sets the scene for Hegel's influence from the Romantics by writing that the Romantic ideal of excellence, of unity with oneself, consists of three basic components. One, totality, that a person should develop all of his or her characteristic human powers. Two, unity, that these powers can be formed into a whole or unity. And three, individuality, that this whole or unity should be individual or unique, characteristic of this person alone. Hegel is looking for absolute unity, complete knowledge, a contented happiness that finds itself not alienated, but at home in the world, not here in this barren place. Hegel sees the world as an organic unity, and that includes us, ideas, others, animals, history, and everything else in that history. I, desire, fullness. We want to be at home in a way that we don't understand knowledge as something separate from the world, subjects with ideas about an object and ideas of something that are ultimately out there, separate from us. Instead, we want to have ideas of objects and knowledge that's both true, total, real, connected, and mine. In short, how do we get from this to this?
My name is Taylor. Welcome to the Eras Tour. We're about to go on a little adventure together.
And with the Disney Bundle,
It's me. Hi.
you can have even more.
Do you love it or do you love it?
It gets me excited to think about it.
Yes! Are you ready for it?
Get the Disney Bundle.
We must end at the beginning and begin at the end. I want you to imagine the absolute as bathing in the totality of the universe. all is one. But this also seems like a beginning. Let me explain. It's like we can imagine everything is together in one firework. Then the firework is set off, and we are, as individuals, one single spark, sent spiralling away, living brightly, then fading, dying, grasping, looking towards the centre, at all of the other sparks, knowing that we were, are, can be, part of something bigger. The beginning is an end that we want to get back to. And this points to another part of Hegel's beginnings, that people like Kant and Spinoza had got a lot right. They were analytical, rational, meticulous, but they were very abstract, as if to know what a firework spark is to analyse its trajectory, its brightness, its chemistry and combustion. None of that explains what it's like to be at a fireworks display, what that means. What philosophers seem to have left out is life, process, history, and connecting that analytical piece of knowledge to the totality as a movement. Hegel thinks that if we attend carefully to process, we can understand how we're part of that great historical movement. The phenomenology is a picture gallery of shapes of consciousness as they move through that process. Each shape posits an absolutely true shape of truth, puts itself out there, risks and asserts itself, says, "This is what I believe about the world." One entry point into Hegel is to ask what it means to reflect on the world. Reflection, like a mirror, suggests a doubling. In thinking about what I think about the world, I'm thinking about thinking, a kind of circular movement in which consciousness reflects on itself as self-consciousness. Reflecting suggests going outside of oneself to look at oneself, but also to be outside of the world so as to reflect on the world. Reflecting suggests a kind of unfolding. This is why Hegel is an idealist, in the sense that he's thinking about our ideas of the world, that all of our experience is shaped like a prism through those ideas, and those ideas, those shapes of consciousness, shift somehow throughout history. The question is how that shifting occurs. Does it have a logic? He's always taking an idea in itself as if it can be neatly and completely filed away in a folder and asking, is the way I think about this idea complete and adequate? Or is there something missing? Something that I haven't put in the folder? Bezer says that reason must grasp each thing as if it were the entire world, as if nothing else existed outside of it. Hegel's point is that we're limited if we accept things in isolation. No discipline, set of practices, set of ideas, job or hobby makes sense on its own. We can't understand language from a dictionary. The knowledge of the lumberjack and the meteorologist and the carpenter and the architect don't make sense disparately. They rely on each other, and knowing how they relate produces a greater, more absolute system of thought.